Have you ever wondered what happens after ever after? Have you always yearned to know if the end is really the end? No? Well, you're going to find out anyway, with your hosts Andy, Tammy, and Gina. This is 2D Vision.
Hello everyone, welcome once again to 2D Vision, Disney Sequels Explained. I'm your host Gina, and as always I am joined by my very best friends and co-hosts Andy and Tammy. Hi guys, how are you?
I'm struggling.
Dead silence. I'm struggling.
But I'm here.
I hope
I'm ready.
whatever you're struggling with, it will go away in about 20 minutes.
Thank you.
How about you, Andy?
It's been exactly the same. I don't know why you keep asking this.
Because it's part of the script.
It's part of the script. I love it.
Yeah. No, well, I've been doing stuff. I've been freelancing. I've been earning my
Them coins?
share.
Them coins.
Them coins.
Well, that's news.
Yeah, I guess. And that's it.
Great.
And you?
I have probably had the most tiring week of quarantine
Oh,
because I also have been freelancing, but I have a freelancing job in translation. And so I translate some TV shows, I translate some movies, and this week I got assigned a movie that was like really, really hard to get through. And I literally like went to sleep at like 2 a.m. for like 3 days straight.
Oh, no.
And it was just so exhausting. Like it was a very exhausting experience. And like after I sent it over, I had a day where I literally like I woke up, I did my home office, I finished at 2 o'clock, and then I went to sleep again, and then I woke up at like 6 p.m. because like I was just so tired. Like the tiredness of the week just crashed over me and was like, I cannot function. So I just slept all afternoon. But
I get that.
yeah, but you know, I'm blessed to be able to work from home and to have a job that I actually do enjoy, like the freelance job. It was just like this particular project was really exhausting.
Yeah.
And yeah, but you know, besides that, I've been doing pretty good. Just very chill. You know, as Andy says, it's the same thing that's been going on for 5 months now. Yeah, It's been long. I just saw a commercial today. And actually today I saw a bunch of like brands being like, you know what? 2020 is over. Let's just celebrate Christmas. And like suddenly, like I saw like a Disney post about Christmas in July, and then Burger King made an ad for Christmas in July, and then I saw some bakery here in Mexico started baking pan de muerto, which is the Dia de Muertos like thing.
Already?
What we eat. Yeah, and because everyone's like, you know what? Fuck 2020. Nothing makes sense anymore. So let's just enjoy things. And you know what? I can get with that attitude because it's fun. And, you know, Christmas in July, what else can you ask for? But anyway, let's get into the topic now that we have all caught up. So today we are talking about two very special movies. Well, one, but, you know, it was a sequel to a very special movie. And that is Wreck-It Ralph. And its sequel, Ralph Breaks the Internet. I always get confused because here in Mexico it's called Wi-Fi Ralph.
And that sounds like an English name.
To me, that sounds more like a USA name than Ralph Breaks the Internet. I think that's a way too long title for this sequel. But anyway, that's not what we're criticizing. So, yeah, it's going to be very fun. I think definitely this is a very special movie to dig into. So let's do that. So Wreck-It Ralph, it came out in 2012. It was directed by Rich Moore, who is very famous for Futurama and The Simpsons and stuff like that. And he got called to direct a Disney movie, and he was like, okay. And yeah, so, and the story, the script is co-written by Jennifer Lee, who later went on to direct Frozen. So, yay! And so
Yes,
let's go. Let's start talking about Wreck-It Ralph. Let's start with some memories, shall we? Tammy, do you want to start us over with your memories of Wreck-It Ralph?
Sure. Wreck-It Ralph is one of my favorite films. It holds this very special place in my heart because it's the movie that helped me explore different animated films. Because before Wreck-It Ralph, all I watched were princess films. That's the only thing I watched. Well, the Renaissance films. That's pretty much all I watched. And I never even really rewatched Incredibles, Finding Nemo, Monsters, Inc. since I was a kid. I just rewatched the Renaissance film. But then one day, my family friend, who it was during Christmas actually, he knew I loved Disney, and he says, "You want to watch Wreck-It Ralph with me?" And I told him I don't really watch those Disney films. Like, I think I worded it that way. I was like, I don't really watch Disney films like that. I think I legit said I just watch the princess films, and he said, "Come on, just watch it with me. I think you'll like it." And I absolutely loved it. And like after that, I think that year was 2014. I can't remember. Maybe it was the year Wreck-It Ralph came out, but I don't know. We watched it.
2012?
2012. I can't remember the year it was, but after that year, I was just like, that was Christmas, and then the following year, I binged all the Pixar films. I binged like all the old Disney films. I binged every film that was not a Disney Renaissance film, and I fell in love with I think I just fell in love with animation as a whole. So I guess, I love Wreck-It Ralph so much for just opening my mind to to the different kind of films Disney has to offer. So yeah, I wasn't a true Disney fan or true animation fan until Wreck-It Ralph. So I really love it for that. It's kind of like what Winnie the Pooh did to me for Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
But yeah, I have a very special place in my heart for Wreck-It Ralph.
Great. Andy, how about you?
Okay, let me crack my knuckles. Because you know something, from the first time that I thought about making this podcast, my goal was to talk about Wreck-It Ralph. Because I can talk about Wreck-It Ralph for like hours. Like if this was possible, we would only talk about Wreck-It Ralph, and then we would talk about the sequel, and I could talk about those for hours. Because Wreck-It Ralph is like my top 3 favorite animated movies, and my top 5 favorite movies in general. It's just like really, really important to me, and I actually think that Wreck-It Ralph is like the best animated movie that has ever been made.
Oh my god.
Like, objectively, I think it is the best animated movie. I mean, if that's not true, at the least it has the best script for an animated movie ever. Like, the script is so tight and it's so well done, and there is nothing losing there. Like, everything is perfect. Like, it's a perfect story, and I really, really enjoy it. And I think like the different styles of animation that it accomplished to show in a single movie, and that it looked wild and cohesive, is just like a feat on its own. And that's why that's part of the reason that I love it. But other reasons that I love it is just like because of personal reasons, because of where was I when I watched it. I remember it was like the culmination of a really, really great year for me.
Aww.
Like the first year of my, I don't know, teenage years, maybe. I was 15, but like that part of my teenage years. And I remember that I watched it, and I didn't even know that Disney was going to put it out there. I hadn't even watched the trailer, and my mom just like picked me up from work, because I was a working girl back then. And then she just said, "Oh, we're going to watch a movie, like the new Disney movie." And I was like, "Mom, what are you talking about? There is no new Disney movie." And there was. So I watched it, and it was like the best experience ever. I think it's one of the best experiences of a movie theater ever for me.
Aww.
And I just remember that I felt so full after watching it. Like, I knew this movie was special, and then I remember I kept coming back. I think I watched it like 6 times on the theater or something like that. And then it just became like a big part of my life. Like I always remember it fondly, and I still believe that this is like the best Disney movie, like objectively. Like it's this, Fantasia, Beauty and the Beast, and Lion King are objectively the best Disney movies ever. And I love it. I don't know what else can I say. I love all the characters. And yeah.
Okay. So let me crack my knuckles as well, because like Grandma Jean is about to tell you a story. No, but I do remember like 2012 was a great year. I remember that year so fondly. That year gave us so many things, like to Andy and me, like as a friendship. That was the year that we met in person after like a year of online friendship. And it was the year that so many movies came out, like Avengers came out, and Rise of the Guardians came out, Brave came out. It was a great year for animation and for our little Disney and animation loving hearts. And just as a friendship, like it was just a great year, and I remember having the time of my life. And also, the same way that Andy didn't know that this movie was coming out, I didn't know either. Like I think I found out about it like a day or two before it came out. Like I came across a trailer somehow, and I was like, what is this? Like, how did I not know that a new Disney movie was coming out? Like, how did this skip my radar? And to this day, I don't know how that happened. I think the reason is that because it is a video game movie and they advertised it like that, my brain and video games just does not merge. I am not a video game girl. I've never been a video game girl. So I think if I ever heard about it, it became white noise in my head because I didn't care about video games. But when I found out that it was a Disney movie, I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go watch it this weekend. That's what I have to do. And so I got some friends together and we went to see it. And definitely, like Andy said, it was like a mind-blowing experience. And I think in part that having no expectations about it, I think it really punched it even harder, like how good it was, because I didn't know what I was going in for. And they just threw, like, as Andy said, again, some of the best writing that Disney has ever pulled out. And I just remember enjoying it so thoroughly. Like every minute I was laughing, or I was getting emotional, or I was just admiring like the designs and just how the world was built. And as I said, I'm not a video game person, so you can imagine how great this world building must be. If me not being interested in video games, I was like so into it, like right from the beginning. And that's just a testament to how good the writing is and the creative team is or was for just building and giving you just what you need in terms of character and animation and story, and giving for the people who are into video games, they just give that little taste of like references and cameos and everything. So it's just a very cohesive and strong movie. And I think anyone who watches it's really going to be impressed by it. I don't think I've ever met someone who doesn't like Wreck-It Ralph. And correct me if I'm wrong, like if you've met someone who doesn't like Wreck-It Ralph. So yeah, I think it's a very much beloved film for good reasons. And I just have very fun memories of it. Andy, I thought you were going to mention that Christmas they gave you a Wreck-It Ralph plushie, and you went to the cinema with it to watch it. I remember that.
I was going to say that because I was going to tell you guys, like, I actually have my Vanellope and my Ralph plushes with me.
Yeah.
Because I am a child. And they're right here with me.
Yeah, I remember you getting those for Christmas, and I was like so excited that you brought them with you to the movies. And I also went to see it.
And maybe I did that, and maybe spoiler for the Frozen episode, but I did that. But the same thing happened with Frozen, and I did the same with my dolls. Because then again, I was a 16-year-old child, and I still am to this date.
Yep,
Sorry,
definitely. I also went to see it, I think, 5 times to theaters. So yeah, it just got to the point where I could quote the thing while I was watching it. And yeah, so it was just really fun. And as soon as it came out on DVD and Blu-ray, I got it. Like, I don't usually get DVDs and Blu-rays anymore, but when it came out, I was like, I need to have this. So I bought it. And I still have it, and it's like a very beloved part of my collection. And yeah, so I just think I just agree with everything that Andy said. I think it's very strong storytelling, and it's definitely one of the strongest and most solid films that Disney has ever pulled out. And the fact that it is about what it is, a bad guy and discovering himself and starting to love himself, and also like the people around him learning to love him, and just how one friendship can literally turn your life around. Like, the right person, it doesn't have to be romantically, but the right person will come along and they will show you how to love yourself, because you will learn to love them and they will love you back. And you will find your best self in that person, because you want to be your best self for them. And I just think that's an amazing message. And I also love how the character of Vanellope itself is so relatable to so many people in so many ways. Like, anyone can see themselves in Vanellope, because we all have those quirks in ourselves that make us feel like we don't belong. And so, like, for Vanellope is the glitch, but it literally could be anything. And so, yeah, I think just the abstract of the person that feels like they don't belong, but turning it into a video game thing, that's just so brilliant. And like, I could go on and on in an essay about Wreck-It Ralph, but I'm just gonna close off by saying that I do think it's some of the best animation and storytelling that Disney ever made. And
for sure.
A very hard movie to measure against.
Is that some warning?
That's the segue into
that
talking.
was your warning. That was your warning.
It was. So with that said, let's segue into what we are here to actually talk about, which is Ralph Breaks the Internet. And Ralph Breaks the Internet is the sequel that came out very recently, less than 2 years ago, in 2018. And it was co-directed by Rich Moore and another person who was a writer in Zootopia, and I think Moana. But I don't remember his name. Let me just Google
Phil
it.
Johnston?
Yeah, him. Rich Moore wasn't the only director in this movie. Let's dive into our very recent memories of Wi-Fi Ralph. Well, sorry, I call it Wi-Fi Ralph. Let's dive in.
Okay, can I say something about that? Okay,
yeah.
We already commented it, but like, it's weird because usually like Ralph Breaks the Internet sounds like a title that would be in Spanish, and Wi-Fi Ralph, because it's Wrecked Wi-Fi, it sounds like it, and in Spanish it's like Ralph, the one that wrecks. So it's like, oh, okay, so it's going to be long and it's going to break another thing, so it makes sense that that's the title in Spanish. It's weird.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
It really confuses me, like, to this day, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about it. Let's just share some of our memories that are very recent, because it was like no long ago. So
Yeah. Okay, so I really enjoyed this film to the point where after I watched it with my aunt, who said that's not very good, I defended it wholeheartedly. I was like, no, you don't understand.
You don't get it.
You don't understand. Okay, so I watched it on Black Friday, right after Thanksgiving dinner. No, I was actually on Thanksgiving because Black Friday happens the next day. But I watched it after Thanksgiving dinner because Disney always releases an animated film on Thanksgiving or during Thanksgiving week. So I've had this tradition for 7 years when I lived in the U.S. was that I would have Thanksgiving dinner with my family, and then I would go watch an animated film with my aunt at 10 o'clock at the latest showtime, because our theater was right next to a very big outlet. So I would get my parking by the theater. I would watch my movie at 10 to 12 a.m. And by the time I got out of the theater with my aunt, we would go to Black Friday shopping and I could just walk. So I already had my parking space because I could just walk to the theater. So that was like my tradition that I've had for 7 years. And I did it for Rise of the Guardians. That was the first time I did it. And I loved Rise of the Guardians so much. And that was my first with my aunt. You don't get it. Because she was like, that was so weird. Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth
Can
Fairy.
I hijack on your experience?
What?
Can I hijack on your experience for a second?
Yeah.
2012 was also the start of my tradition, which is like each day after Christmas, like the 26th, I go by myself, like the first showing at the theater, and I go to the movies by myself and watch the latest animated film. And that started also like in 2012, and it was Ralph, and then I got out, and then I realized that there was a showing for Rise of the Guardians, and I got right back in by myself again.
I love that.
And that happened
that for you.
up until I think last year, which I was in Orlando. So, no, wait, that wasn't. Wait, no.
You came back.
No, it was 2017, and we were in California. That's why I didn't do that then.
Oh.
Yeah. But okay, go back. Sorry.
Okay. So it's funny that we have the same tradition. I love that. But yeah, the first one was with the Rise of the Guardians, and I was doing that for 7 years straight. And I got out, and actually, when I first watched it, I was completely like just enraptured with it because the same struggles that Ralph went through, I went through very recently with one of my best friends. Like we're on decent terms right now, but our friendship is kind of gone down. But it's fine. You get over that kind of stuff. But that's why it hit me to my core, because the relationship issues, I was Ralph, basically. Like, I was really Ralph. I was very codependent and very clingy, and I couldn't, it was hard for me to like, have her have different relationships. It was very bad. I'm exposing myself right now, but I understand, like, what I did wrong there, but that's why that message, like, really hit me in my hearts, all my hearts. But yeah, and when we got out of it, my aunt was like, oh, wow, that was really bad. Or not really bad, but she was like, yeah, I didn't enjoy that very much. And I was trying to like showcase to her, like, the message, how it's very good for kids to watch, and how it's like, I think that's very important, and I thought it was done well. So that was all my arguments to her, and I really enjoyed the film. And I think, like, having it be on a holiday, having it be my tradition with my family, having after just had Thanksgiving dinner, and it was like a really good time, and I really resonated with the message, and I love Wreck-It Ralph. So I think all of that combined, I wasn't really able to see how this message was executed. But now, so that's for later in the recording. But yeah, but I loved it a lot when I first watched it, and I can say watching it now back to back with Wreck-It Ralph, I can separate myself from the feelings.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. But it's really funny. It's really funny having this realization, because that Thanksgiving, that time was, I think, the same time where I realized, like, I don't really like Black Friday. Like, I think that might have been the same time. Yeah, exactly. I think that might have been the same time, because I always did Black Friday. I get my running shoes, like, on sale, and I get the stuff that I need for cheap, and I was like, it's great. But I think that Thanksgiving, I was just like, wow, this is really gross. It was just like, I was just
really
like,
American.
It's so gross. I was just like saying, oh, it's piles and piles of unused clothes, piles of clothes that don't need to be made, that they're selling at a very cheap price, and it just brings out the worst in people. And I was like, oh my god, this is kind of terrible. So yeah, I think after that, like, because I usually leave the outlet at 4 a.m., but I think we left at like 11, at 1 a.m. Like, I couldn't even do an hour of it. Like, it was too much. So it's interesting having this realization right now of Wreck-It Ralph 2, and also it being the same time. I had like a realization about Black Friday and capitalism. I was like, things I loved, but I'm like, oh. Oh, more intense negative feelings about Black Friday, but
yeah, definitely.
Same concept. But those are my general feelings about Wreck-It Ralph 2, what I had.
Okay, so now we have found ourselves in a very interesting situation because
I was going to ask you.
Andy and I's memories of this are the exact same because we went to see it together. So do you want to tell the story? Or do you?
Okay, maybe I can tell like the first half and then you
give us a context. Where were we
I will give the
emotionally in that day?
Exactly. Okay, so it was 2018. We were starting the podcast. Can you believe it's been 2 years? Like, I know. I remember making that tweet of, Ralph Breaks the Internet is today. Okay, so Gina and I went to a music festival, which is like the best music festival that has ever been.
Yeah.
Like I've ever been in my life.
Yes.
And
we almost died.
I fainted.
Yeah.
Like I straight up fainted, and the people had to catch me. And just remember that it was like the biggest crowd I've ever been. Like maybe the top is like the Rise of the Resistance boarding group thing, but like top was Corona Festival. Oh my god, it was Corona.
It's called. I was just like, oh my god, I have just completely forgotten that the meaning of Corona is now forever changed after. But the music festival is called Corona Capital.
Yeah. So this was the Corona when crowds were expected.
When crowds could exist.
Oh my god.
So this was like the biggest thing that we went to for. It was Imagine Dragons, also Panic at the Disco, but Imagine Dragons was like the headliner, and we stood there for like maybe like what was it, like 10 hours?
I think it was more. I think it was like about
12 hours.
We were standing for 12 hours.
Yeah, wow. waiting for them to come out because we were in a good spot. And we kind of got it. Like we weren't even like in the first row. Okay, but that's like details. Zero, like the song had just came out, so it was like it was really emotional. In like the first time that I listened to it, I was like, okay, this is like my favorite song ever. And to this day, it still is my favorite Imagine Dragons song. So it was like a lot of things that connected us to the movie. Also because we were together, and we usually don't spend that long of time together, so this was going to be like the Disney movie that we were going to watch like together living in the same city together, right? So it was all these emotions, and then we got to watch it. And I don't know if you want to start talking about that.
At that time, I was living in Monterrey. I was doing a semester there, and it's the city that Andy lives in, and we just spent every day. Well, not anymore. Details, but we were basically in that moment in our lives where we were just like so happy because we got to hang out every single day. We just came back from that concert, and
like 2 days.
Days later, it was Ralph Breaks Internet, and Andy lost her voice during the concert. She could not speak. Literally no sounds were able to come out of her.
It was super cold, and I don't know why every time that I get like a really, really bad like infection, I lose my voice. And also maybe I screamed more than I should have.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That was probably it more than the cold. I was cold too, and I didn't lose my voice. But yeah, it was a Friday, and we were literally the only two people in the theater the first time that we watched it. And we were so excited because, as Andy said, it was the first time that we were going to be able to see a Disney movie for the first time together. And I think that paired up with the Imagine Dragons thing, paired up with the fact that I wasn't going through as much a parallel with Ralph as you, Tammy, but I remember like having this conversation with my friends back home later that they thought about me when they watched it because they were just like, we miss you so much because you've been gone for months now, but we know that you're there because you want to be there and because you want to go study and blah blah blah, and we just need to learn that you're not gonna be around for some time. And like I was just so touched by that. And yeah, but yeah, back to the moment where we were watching it. I remember Andy and I were just geeking out. We were just we were feeling our oats. It was just so emotional for us. And being the major princess stans that we are, when the princess scenes came out, I was screaming and Andy was attempting to scream, but she couldn't because she had no voice. But I was like, oh my God, can you believe it? Are you seeing? Like, I was just losing my mind. We were both losing our minds. And we were so in love with Shank. Shank was like the best thing. We were laughing.
I am still in love with Shank.
Yeah.
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 And I just, like, the biggest memory I have of that theater experience is like at the climax of the movie where the princesses, spoiler alert, save Ralph, and they do this whole thing where the music from each princess is coming and going. We were like having like spasms. We were like we were losing our minds. Like I remember, I don't know if it was you or it was me. We ended up like in the floor at one point. We were like, "Oh my God!"
I stopped running the stairs, girl.
Yes, I like because you couldn't scream. You had to let out your emotions in some way. So you were like, "Oh my God!" and you just like went to the floor and just ran because we were the only people there. So we just took advantage of that. And
That's amazing.
it was the most fun I think I've ever had in a movie theater.
Too. Oh God.
And I think that made us like really fall in love with this movie at that time. And I even got because at the theater they were selling Vanellope and Ralph keychains.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the Ralph keychain, and I think you got the Vanellope one, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So that was also another thing. Like I still have that keychain in my keys. It's so cute. And yeah, so just as far as memories go, I have a really great memory of like my first experience with Ralph. I think we went to see it once more in the theaters, and then you just reminded me of camera or of Mike, I should say, that we watched it with your mom. I think last year, when I went to visit over to your hometown. And so yeah, I think so far my experience with Ralph Breaks Internet has been a very emotional one, and I hadn't been able to just sit down and watch it like critically and like really watching and paying attention like with no emotions attached to it until I watched it for the podcast. And like no spoilers, but just segueing into the next thing, I do feel like I have a more critical view of it now than I did back when it first came out. So with that said, we should probably go ahead and start talking about it, unless you have something else to add, Andy.
Just same to everything that you said. I think maybe I watched it again, like maybe once or twice after, but I think I still got the hype then, because I've actually never done the marathon, like watching Wreck-It Ralph and then watching Ralph Breaks the Internet. So it was an experience.
Yeah,
Yep.
I should say so. So let's move on to actually talk about the movie now. So let's do a quick recap. As I said, Ralph Breaks Internet came out 2018. The whole cast, I think, came out. I think the only person who didn't was I forget the name of this actress. She played Disgust on Inside Out.
Mindy Kaling.
Yeah, she played Taffeta in the first movie, but she didn't come back for this one for unknown reasons. And I just want to point out before we get into the movie, I love Fix-It Felix. He's so adorable. I just like I was in love with him back in 2012. I
remember that face of yours.
Yeah, I adore. Like now that I'm older, I feel like I lean into the dark, broody stereotype more. But back then, I just had this phase where I was like so into the good boys.
Oh.
And Felix is the goodest boy ever. And
He is the goodest boy. Okay.
I love him.
Wait, I have a question.
I'm about to cry over Fixed Feelings.
Is Wreck-It Ralph a himbo?
Okay, let's go through the points. Is he stupid?
Maybe.
I would say break the internet. Ralph is stupid, but Wreck-It Ralph isn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wreck-It Ralph is a hunk.
Yes.
And in Wreck-It Ralph in Ralph Breaks the Internet is a himbo.
Yes.
Probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Fix-It Felix is a decent man.
Yes, he's a decent
No,
man.
but he's not stupid.
He's just cute. But he's very kind.
Well, let's say stupid / pure. Cute? let's Okay. Okay. That just, when you started fawning over Fix-It Felix, I just started remembering the categories because you're the one that shared it.
That was very fun. People don't know what we're talking about, and I can't explain it, so let's just don't.
Continue.
But yeah, I was in love, and I'm still kind of low key in love with Fix It Felix. I just feel like I don't know. I connected with him so much. He's the most adorable, and every time that I watch it, like I love just seeing him and like the little details in the animation that they give him. Like he takes off his hat when he's talking to other people, and he puts it back up, and the way that he holds on to his hammer to try to protect Vanellope at one point. And like, and that moment in the trailer, like the first Ralph movie, where he's like, "I'm gonna wreck it," and he hammers the jail bars and they go bigger, and he's like, "Why do I fix everything I touch?" And he can't curse, and like I think he says, "I don't have to do boo. Excuse my potty mouth."
Yeah, I love that so much. Or like, you just give me, that's just the honey glow in my cheeks. I love that.
You're
so
a dynamite
much.
gal. I love Fix It. I love his dance in Celebration, the way that he did. He's adorable. He's the most adorable little man that Disney has ever made. And I love his relationship with Calhoun. And I say this just because I want you to know how much I love Felix, but also I think it's gonna also come in later when I talk about what I feel about this movie. Okay, so let's start. So Ralph Breaks the Internet happens exactly 6 years after Wreck-It Ralph, which is the same amount of time that has passed since, like, between 2012 and 2019. And by this point, Ralph and Vanellope have just made their friendship a lot stronger. They have become inseparable. Every night after the arcade closes, they spend the night just going into other games and talking and having these very deep conversations. Like there's this moment where they're in a football game, I guess, and Vanellope says something along the lines of, "Did you ever think about the fact that we're just a bunch of ones and zeros just floating around in an infinite space, and that our lives," I don't know, she goes on to talk about like the meaning of virtual life, and I'm like, damn, the movie just started. And it goes very deep, very fast. And it doesn't go deeper than that after that. Okay. But yeah, so at one moment, Vanellope is talking about that she is kind of tired of Sugar Rush, I think it's at this moment. And that she really likes it, but she's kind of bored by it because every single level has been unlocked and there's no new tracks, and she's getting a little tired of it. And Ralph doesn't understand why she feels that way, because he's like, we live like the best life ever. We go to work on day and we get to spend the nights together, and like, how is that not the greatest thing you've ever heard? Like the only thing that would make it better is that if we didn't have to work. And Vanellope is like, okay, let's just agree to disagree. And Ralph just goes immediately, "But I don't want to disagree." And Vanellope goes, "It's just a way of saying that we don't have to like see eye to eye on this, and so we don't have to discuss and fight." And Ralph goes, "I don't want to fight." And at this moment, we're just seeing how Ralph, through these 6 years, has become very, very dependent and very clingy to Vanellope. And that's mainly what it's going to drive the whole movie. So the day comes, the arcade opens, and they go back to their games. But Ralph is like, okay, so if Vanellope is bored, what I'm gonna do is go to Sugar Rush and create a new track for her so she will not be bored and she will be happy again to spend, her time with me. He goes and does that. He creates a new track and distracts Vanellope. She's being played by a real human and she all of a sudden takes a right turn and the girl playing her is like, what the fuck is going on? And Vanellope is just like enjoying their new track and everything, but as the human girl is trying to control her, I think her name is what's the name of the girl?
Swati?
Swati. I was like, it doesn't really matter, but she has a really pretty name, I think. Swati. So she is trying to fight Vanellope, and at one point she moves the wheel too hard, and it comes off. It comes off. It breaks. The game stops, and everyone is like, "What is going on? What did you do?" And Ralph is like, "Don't worry about it. Litwak is gonna fix it, and everything's gonna be okay. We're gonna go back in no time." But Mr. Litwak is like, "Oh, I would try to fix it, but the company that sold Sugar Rush doesn't exist anymore." And the kids in the arcade are like, "Oh, don't worry, we can find it on the internet." And they just go into their phones, and they're like, and Litwak goes, "I don't think you're gonna find it. I found it!" And there's like one wheel on eBay, and it's $200. So Litwak says, "I don't have that money. That's more money than Sugar Rush makes in a year. I guess we're just gonna have to like put it off service." And at this moment, Litwak unplugs the game. And as we know from their last movie, unplugging the game means that, the characters who are still in there are gonna disappear. So they just run off to game. What's the name of the station? Game Central Station? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, they run off. They exit the game, and now everyone is homeless, and everyone starts freaking out because they don't know what they're gonna do. And now everyone in Sugar Rush, including the little background characters, now they don't have a home and they don't have a game. And Vanellope now is even more sad because even if she was bored by her game, it gave her some kind of meaning. And that night, she is spending the night at Wreck-It Ralph. I mean, not Wreck-It Ralph. Fix-It Felix Jr. That's the name of the game. And Ralph is like, "You just won the lottery. You don't have to work anymore." And Vanellope is trying to explain that she doesn't feel that way because she wanted to be she still wanted to be a racer, because if she's not a racer, what am I? She asks him, and he goes, "Well, you're my best friend." And Vanellope says, "Well, that's not enough." And Ralph gets like offended. He's like, "What do you mean that's not enough?" And Vanellope like apologizes, but she's like, "I didn't mean it that way, but I just need some time," and she goes away. And Ralph goes, "Okay, I guess I'll see you at Tappers later." And that's it. And then we get a little scene where the racers are at Felix and Calhoun's house. And they're trying to find a home for the racers, but no one wants to take them because they're a bunch of brats. And Calhoun just takes Felix's hands, and she goes, "I know we haven't talked about it, but this seems like the kind of decision that you make like out of a sudden without thinking about it." And they just go, "We are gonna give you sanctuary." And the little man, what's his name? The little blue man.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know
like,
his name.
The immigration guy. I don't know.
He's not immigration. He's
well, the costumes person.
Close enough.
cop person.
Close enough.
The blue person. The blue man. Takes them away, and he's like, "Can I talk to you for a moment?" And he does the funniest thing I think in this movie. He does this really funny movement, and he goes, "I know you want to spice things up, but adopting 15 children is not the kind of spice that you want." That's a hilarious line, and I laugh every single time. And Felix and Calhoun are like, "What are you talking about? These are just lambs who need a pastor to guide them." And yeah, so they adopt them, but then the realization sinks into Felix that he just adopted 15 children, and they start wrecking the apartment, and they're like, I don't know if we made the best decision. But later that day, Ralph is at Tappers, where they only sell root beer because I guess beer is not suitable for a
It's
PG. Yeah. So they only sell root beer, and Ralph is there waiting for Vanellope, and he even he even goes to Tapper and he asks, "Hey Tapper," and Tapper just goes to him and he's like, "No, Ralph, I have not seen Vanellope since the last time you asked me 30 seconds ago." And he's like, "Okay," and he has a root beer next to him that he's waiting for Vanellope, and then Felix comes in and he sits next to him. He drinks the beer that Ralph had saved for Vanellope. He drinks it and he goes, "Ew, boy."
Oh god, that moment.
Yeah. Oh, wait, that's a really funny moment because before that, Felix is like, "I just became a father of 15 children. Isn't that a blessing?" Hello.
I am. This is going to be great. We're going to have
Yeah,
Calhoun
yeah.
and Felix's
Yeah.
like being parents.
I wanted to talk about that like later, but yeah, I am very disappointed that we did not get to see that.
No, you know what? I was watching it and was like, I don't know how I would have felt if they had that, because it's just like such a removed like story. And I feel like when that happens in movies, it's really jarring. Is one of the criticisms, but I think it's more like a TV show thing. Like this, if
Yeah.
this was a TV show and you had like this other storyline that just like comedy, it's okay. But I actually feel like it was the right call to not have it in the movie. Just have it like a gag at the end.
I
Okay,
agree. I think my main problem is not that that they didn't include the Felix and Calhoun raising the children part, but I think that was not the story that I wanted for them. I think I really wanted
Okay.
Calhoun and Felix to be part of the adventure. Like when they announced the second Wreck-It Ralph movie, I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna get to see now that they are like together and they're a team. We are gonna get to
yeah.
see Felix and Calhoun and Ralph and Vanellope like go on an adventure together. But I guess they made the decision that the movie had to be about Ralph and Vanellope again, and there was just no place for Felix and Calhoun anymore. And I think
Yeah.
that's sad. I mean, I do like the new characters that they bring in, but I just really love Felix. That's why I mentioned it earlier. And I wanted to see more of him, and that was really like a little disappointment in that regard. But anyway, so Felix is like, I just became a father at 15. Isn't that a blessing? And then he just chugs the beer. And he goes, "Eo boy." And then they have this whole back and forth of them going, "Eo boy, Eo boy." And then it's just Ralph trying to remember what the kid in the arcade said. And he's like, "Oh, eBay, that's where they said the wheel is gonna be, and it's in the internet, and we're just gonna go to the internet and find that eBay and get that wheel for Vanellope so that she will not be sad anymore." And he goes and gets Vanellope, and they go and try to crash into the internet that is very heavily secured by the Blue Man, and they manage to distract him very easily, and they just cross over and they get into the internet. We get this really cute scene with Litwak trying to connect the internet, and then when he finally does, they are transported into the magical, amazing virtual world of the internet. And I will give the movie that the building, like the setting of the internet, is so amazing. It's visually, it's outstanding, and I'm so amazed about the amount of little like icons and logos that they have to create for that scene, and like
I
the
hope
whole
that
movie.
people got paid well, because those are a lot of things.
A lot of like sites they created, and like for every site that you create, you have to create a logo and something that a little copy that will tell you what it is, and
oh god,
it's just it shows that there's a lot of creative work behind it, and I feel like it goes by so fast. Like I was watching it with my boyfriend, and we were like literally like pausing to really be able to get to grasp at the whole of it, because like it just goes by, and if you blink, you miss some of the details. So I think it's a great movie to watch at home, and to be able to pause it and really be able to, appreciate the details that they added, because the people that work the background things don't get acknowledged, but they did an amazing work, especially in this scene, in this introductory scene for the internet. So they go into the internet, they find this like beautiful place.
Wait, can I add something on there?
Yeah.
It's okay. What really stood out to me was the Twitter tree, and like it made me like shudder for a second, because it was like all these cute birds sharing tweets, and I'm like, those birds will turn into rabid monsters in like a second. I was like the little Twitter tree, I was like, oh my god, that is so scary. But I just had to say that because it was like so terrifying.
I actually want to say that I don't know how they could have done like this internet version better. I actually think that it's really cute. Even when you go throughout the rest of the movie, like everything they had to like design, and they had to bring that to an animated form, but in a way that it was like funny. Like, how do you transport? Okay, so this kind of car forms around you and then takes you to the side, and then like the ads are just like people like in the streets that trying to sell you things. It's fun. Actually, I don't know. It's weird because as we're watching it now, like it's almost 2 years since the movie came out, maybe like a year and a half, and all of those logos are still current. But I don't know how that will turn out, like even in a year or in a few months, because when I was watching it, I was like, okay, I'm afraid this is going to get cringy, like in the sense of, because like every story that deals with the internet gets cringy later on, because the internet just changes so fast, and it's like it's internet culture.
It's gonna become outdated.
Yeah.
And it is going to be kind of uncomfortable. So maybe I will just like watch this movie as long as I can, like through like next year or something. And not only because of that, because I don't know how they did it to get like sponsorships for those sites or for those companies or something. But I don't know, maybe if one gets bankrupt or doesn't exist, and is, I don't know, like maybe eBay later doesn't exist, and in 20 years, how will this movie like hold on, since like eBay is like a big part of this movie? I actually like, maybe, I mean, compared to other movies that deal with this internet stuff in kind of an like edgy, fun way, this is like the best one.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have a lot of competition, because it usually is really sad.
Yeah, I think what this movie has going for it is that they do it in a very creative way, and like I feel like the most, like what I worry about most at this point is like the logos are gonna change eventually.
Yes,
because every company changes their logo every other year. So like right now, those logos are still up to date, but that will not be the case down the
like
line.
Google.
At some point, the logos are gonna change.
Yeah.
And
like they have a whole scene like in the Google Tower, and like they have a fight scene on Pinterest. It was like, is Pinterest going to hold up like in the next 10 years?
Who knows?
It's weird.
Yeah, I definitely think like they took a gamble, but yeah, I feel like what I can only put it in the way that it's a very Gen Z movie. I don't know if you guys felt that.
I don't think it was a Gen Z movie. I think it was a movie that was desperately trying to appeal to Gen Z.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like they're trying to get to that.
Like they didn't have TikTok. How are they going to make this movie current?
Did TikTok exist in 2018?
No.
I don't think so. I think it was Musical.ly.
Maybe it did, but it wasn't as popular.
Like I know I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but like no, like now that you mentioned it, yeah, Wreck-It Ralph was made for the love of video games. Ralph Breaks the Internet was made to be current, I guess. In
because
some
even
way.
Wreck-It Ralph in 2012, it was about an arcade. Like
Yes.
arcades are not anymore.
Yeah, and they relied more on like the retro games and like those games that have been around for years and like are a part of pop culture. So that
And they're classic. Like, Twitter isn't classic.
Yeah.
Pinterest isn't classic. Fandango isn't classic.
yeah, and they spend the most of the first movie like in the original worlds, like Sugar Rush, you know.
Yeah.
So that even if like down the line, you know, for some reason, let's say that Sonic becomes a very obscure video game character that no one remembers, like that's still not gonna matter because it's not like he plays a very big role, you know.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say something else. Oh, something I do not, and I didn't like this ever since the first time I watched it. I don't like the inclusion of the YouTubers. Like I think the first one that jumps out at me is Miranda Sings, and because I really do not like her. I mean,
I don't know who they are, but I noticed there were cameos. Like I didn't know who they were, but they were like on the screen for a few seconds. That made me realize that it was a cameo, and I hate that. What is the purpose of it? I mean, who are you appealing with your kids?
They're trying to appeal to the Gen Z. But
Gen Z are they're intelligent. They know when these things happen, and they're not gonna buy it. Like I can't believe this team doing that. Like in 2018, they were doing that. That doesn't make sense to me. Like I will believe maybe it's because Jennifer Lee wasn't in the project anymore, but I think she would have called bullshit on that.
Yeah. I think it was more like, oh, we're making a movie about the internet, so we need to have some internet personalities in there. And like the biggest internet personalities are usually YouTubers.
But internet personalities go away in like 2 years.
Yeah, so I guess that's why they don't really like name them. Like it's not like, oh, this is Miranda Sings. This is just a random human character that just happens to look like Miranda Sings. But if you don't really know who Miranda Sings is, then you know you can still watch it and be like, it doesn't really matter, but if you know who she is, like you get it. But still, I feel like they're a little like they're not necessary, and because I really don't like Miranda Sings, I feel like and that's like the first big cameo, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think that I just should have done that. But okay.
And like, not to get too much into it, but because I follow drama channels, I follow that and I think she got into a scandal recently.
Oh no!
About you being inappropriate with one of her younger fans, not in you know, like it's a very gray area. Like it's not in a like illegal way, but it's like she's like, I guess the gist of it was like she sent him like lingerie that she was opening like as a gift bag, and as a joke he in the live stream he was like, can you send that to me? And then you can cut this out if you want, but like I'm just saying, like, you know, like and then she made a whole apology saying like that was part of a joke. I just thought it was really funny at the time, and I didn't realize how inappropriate it was, you know, and like it was like a big thing a couple months ago, I think, and it was just, that doesn't age well. You know what I mean?
Actually that was going to be one of my points, that out of all celebrities, maybe YouTubers are the most propense to have like scandals put up about them and be like canceled or something.
Yeah.
So can you imagine if they put like Shane Dawson or something like that?
The movie would be dead. To me. Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay,
yeah.
move on, please.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Also, I just wanted to mention the little like avatars, like the people, like the humans navigating the internet are like little me's that look like Funko Pops, and they walk so funny. Like I was just paying attention to the background me characters, and they walk like so weird, but they're so hilarious.
They're cute. I like them.
I want
like
mine.
Sorry.
No, I just said that I want mine. I want one that looks like me.
No, actually, one of my favorite things about the original Wreck-It Ralph, it was the animation on the Icelanders. How they walk.
Yes. I know. I love those too. Like how they ran when they were so panicking. That was adorable.
Yes.
I love that so much.
I just love that Fix It Felix world because everything was pixelated, even like the cream of the cake when it got destroyed. it was pixels. It was amazing, and I really enjoyed those details. And I don't know if I can talk about that now.
Just do.
Because it's visual style. Yeah, okay, but I mean it's different because it's in the internet. Of course, it's not going to be the same. But I think like I really enjoyed the different animation styles on the original, and because this was all more cohesive. I love the setting of the internet, but like aside from exclaiming, "Oh wow, this is impressive!" Like nothing except for like the little Mies, like they walk funny. Everything was kind of normal. So like kind of that spark like kind of went away. And also other thing that I wanted to say is that the score is by Henry Jackman, and I love Henry Jackman, and I actually love the original Wreck-It Ralph score. I
It's
love
so
it.
good.
I love the whole soundtrack,
It's
and I love all of
amazing.
the songs. Yeah.
Yes.
And like when the movie started, like this one, like Breaks the Internet started, and it was like the theme from the Wreck-It Ralph movie, like when it presents the arcade for the first time, like in the original. It was like so emotional, and I realized this doesn't come up again ever, maybe until the end, because it's the song of the arcade. I mean, it makes sense, but I kind of miss it. It's a big part of what makes me really nostalgic about that movie. I don't know. Okay, continue.
Yeah. So let's try to speedrun it. So
Yeah.
they are like, okay, we don't know where we are. This place is huge, and let's just try to find the EO boy thing. And they run into this. What's the name of the little purple guy?
Knows more.
Knows more. So he goes
It's like
to
Google.
Yeah, they go over to this guy who's called Knowsmore, who's adorable, and he's basically a
him.
very intellectual Google. He's a search engine, and they go over to him and they start asking him something. And they start talking, and he's automatically trying to finish their sentences. And I think I just find that so hilarious. I think Knows More is also one of my favorite things about this movie. I think like the whole concept of his character is so good, and yeah, I just love the way that he tries to finish their sentences, and he's trying to guess what they're gonna say, which is exactly what a search engine does. And Ralph is trying to achieve, like, to get to eBay, and then Vanellope just goes, she just goes for a Sugar Rush, wheel, eBay, and just the one result appears. I love how Knowsmore gets like so shaky while he's doing the search, and just the one result comes up, and they click it, and this little cart pops up, and I love how it encloses Ralph, and like it just bends his neck in a very unusual way because he's just so big he doesn't fit in the cart. And they say thank you to Knowsmore, which is important because he never gets the thanks that he deserves. And they go over to eBay where they meet a bunch of pop-up ads. They're hilarious.
I love that.
I love those.
I know.
think
Yeah.
also one of the best things. It's like, hot moms want to know you. And these 15 child actors went to prison. The number 6 will amaze you.
I know. I was surprised of the ads they included, to be quite honest with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But
The hot moms is essential.
Those are the exact ads that you get on the internet.
They are. Like, they didn't switch it up a bit.
No.
And I love like the ad blocker thing. Like it's a bodyguard.
Yes.
And they just push them.
It made me feel bad about using ad blocker.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. And there's one pop-up that is, do you want to be rich playing video games? But he's the one that gets pushed over and he falls over. And this is the moment where Ralph and Vanellope get into eBay, and they're trying to find the video game sections, and they're looking over at the sections, and Vanellope says something like some kind of weird baby clothes called lingerie. I don't know how she says it, but it's so funny, and it's like lingerie, literally. And they find the video game section, and they find a wheel And the way that eBay works, like in the movie, is very funny. Like all the Miis are gathered around like the item, and there's like one,
like a real auction.
Yeah, like an auction. Yeah, and there's one little virtual person that's like, someone gives me 100, someone give me 105, and they just go until like the item is sold. And there's a bunch of really weird items, like the chip that has the face of Beyonce. That's hilarious. But if you also, this is a great scene to pause, because there's a lot of items being sold in the background that are very interesting. So they find a wheel, and they don't know how the thing works, so they just think that whoever says the highest number wins. And there's only one person trying to bid for the wheel at the same time. And I think by the time they get there, the bid is at like, I don't know, 200 something dollars. And they just go 205, 207, 210. And then Vanellope just goes like 1,000. And then Ralph goes 1,200, 2,000, 3,000. And they just go at it, like Vanellope and Ralph just go at it until they reach 27,001. And that's it. And that's when the auction finishes, and they're like, okay, item sold to the hobo without shoes for $27,001. And they get this little receipt, and they get told to get over to process. And once they get there, the person asks, how are you gonna pay for your product? And they're like, pay? And they had no idea that what they were actually getting into was a debt of $27,001.
That was so cringy.
Yes. And he left his wallet at home with the other wallets, and it's just
in his wallet room.
It's a very awkward scene.
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And it was so frustrating. Like, I hate when characters are stupid.
Yeah, it was a very stupid thing.
It was a problem they didn't need.
And I know we're gonna get into it like later when we're talking about our opinions, but I think like one of the biggest like issues with the movie is that it's literally a MacGuffin movie. Like, the wheel is the MacGuffin, and they have nothing else. Like, that's the only thing that's driving the plot through the movie. Like, they need to get a wheel, and because they were stupid and they got in debt at eBay, now they need to get the money, and they have like 3 days before Lidwag is gonna, throw away Sugar Rush or something. And so it's a very basic like plot, like time limit and the MacGuffin and everything else that happens.
Which, when you compare it, when you watch the two movies back to back, it's a really striking.
It really pokes at you like, yeah, this is not the same movie that I watched.
Yeah.
And actually, okay, I was going to say that I don't know if you guys have, I don't know, like realized this or something, but something that I noticed is like more than half of the Disney movies of the revival, or not like the Disney movies, like also the Pixar movies on this past decade, are like road trips, kind of like Tangled, Moana, Frozen, even everything is like a journey.
Yeah.
And Wreck-It Ralph was one of the only ones that wasn't. Like, had a kind of unique, all the story structures are kind of the same, you know that. But yeah, kind of original. And this one, like you said, yeah. I at the moment that they were talking about the steering wheel, I thought, oh, okay, so they're going to have to get the money for that, how they're going to get it. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is the plot. They have to get, and I was like, oh, okay, they're going to take some time to get it. And it was like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. So
yeah,
we know what we're going to do for the rest of the movie, at least. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's get into that once we get to talk about the movie. So now they're trying to find a way to pay the steering wheel, and they remember the pop-up ad that was like, do you want to get rich playing video games? And they go to him, and he's like really surprised and like, oh, do you wanna? Oh, okay. So click here and we'll take you to my site. And they do, and another card comes up, but it's like really rusty and it's like falling apart. And because Ralph is so big, it's like limping. It's hilarious. It's a really funny visual gag. But they go to this really shady site, and the pop up, it's called Spamly, and
I
Spamly
love
goes,
Family.
yeah, he's really cute. He goes, oh, don't worry,
And it's voiced by Bill Hader. Bill Hader.
yeah,
And it's not credited at all.
it's weird,
Mm,
yeah. And so Spamly goes, don't worry, we just had the antivirus come in, and then a little bug happened, just shows up in the floor, and he like steps on it like very aggressively.
I love those kinds of moments.
Yeah.
Like the literal no, and he says, "Oh, welcome to my website," and it's like web, and there's a lot of webs.
Yeah.
I love it.
So he explains that the way to get rich playing video games is that a bunch of people in the human world are gonna pay whoever gets them certain items from certain video games. So certain items are easier to get, so they just pay like $5 or $15. So Vanellope asks, do you have something more lucrative? And Spamly gives them something called Shank's Car from a game called Slaughter Race. And a human in the real world is gonna pay $40,000 for Shank's card. So they're like, oh, so we just gotta go steal a card in a card game, which is like the thing that Vanellope is good at. Oh, that sounds easy. Let's just go and do that. So they get into the game called Slaughter Race, which is like the best and most violent racing game on the internet. And they just look so out of place in this game.
I love
like,
that. I love
yes,
the visual.
I love that too. This is obviously very inspired by, Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that. Like, things are exploding everywhere. It's like a post-apocalyptic city, and it's just dirt and smoke all around. It's a very shady place.
Mm-hmm.
So they get into Slaughter Race, and they find Shank's car, and it's a beautiful, beautiful red car. But they arrive at the same time that two human players are about to steal it. So
I love the design of that. I love how they move.
yeah, I
It's
do like how they move
amazing.
too. But before they get to do that, Shank and the gang show up, and they basically like obliterate them. Is this where they use the flamethrower?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's this guy called Pyro, and he uses the flamethrower on the gamers, and they lose. And it's so funny because the guy player is like 72 straight hours of gaming just to get Shank's car, something like that, like an insane amount of hours playing the game, and then they just die when they are right there. And they have this really funny moment afterwards with Shank's gang where you realize that they're actually like pacifists, and they're really like zen. And one of the guys is like, I just saw a TED Talk that really inspired me. And I don't know what they really wanted to say, but what I got from it was like, I respect every person's journey.
No, I honor your journey.
I honor. Yeah, it's very hilarious. I really like Shank's gang. We don't get to spend a lot of time with them, but they're very funny because they are like poking at that kind of not generation, because not all of us, but that part of the generation that's like really like progressive, and they're trying to find a peaceful way to navigate this world, and they watch TED Talks on the internet.
I love that.
Well, actually, this is an important scene because this is the scene when we discover that Shank is hot.
Yeah. She's played by Gal Gadot, so we cannot not
Imagine all the people.
living life.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay.
She's really hot.
Shank wouldn't do that.
Shank wouldn't. Never.
Shank wouldn't.
No. So Vanellope and Ralph get frightened because they don't know what they're gonna do, because they are like really rude. Not rude, but they're like badass people. And so they get this whole plan organized that Ralph is gonna knock on the door and say that I guess this is a callback to the original movie when he says he was with the tree department. And he just knocks and he's like, oh, we just came to, I don't know, we got a call from someone and Larry picked up the phone and we came here to see if everything was all right. I don't remember exactly what he says, but the fact is, the point is that he's trying to distract Shank and the rest of the gang while Vanellope tries to steal the car. But Shank like notices and she discovers that he's lying, and so they realize that something's wrong, and then Vanellope just zooms straight out with Shank's car, and I think she runs over Ralph, and he gets in the car as well, and now they're racing against Shank, who steals a car from the same players who were trying to steal hers, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna need this, so, and she just pushes him out of the car and takes it, and she goes and is racing against Vanellope to get the car back, and eventually she reaches them because they are not able to cross over to the exit of the game, and she gets the car back, and there's this really hilarious moment where Ralph is crying, and he goes to Vanellope, he's like, I got this, and goes to Shank. And he's like, I'm sorry, we didn't mean to steal your car, but they were going to pay us, a real human was going to pay us money for your car, and we need it because if we don't get the money, she's going to lose her game, and he's crying. And Shank is like, okay, I appreciate this really vulnerable showcase of emotions, but you don't need to cry, I understand. And so Ralph goes, oh, so you're going to give us your car? And she's like, absolutely not. But we are going to help you. And she records a video of him saying, I'm going to wreck it, but they are throwing like wind at his face, and he looks really
And this
hilarious.
is when it begins.
And this is where it begins. So
when it begins.
So she's like, okay, I'm gonna open a BuzzTube account. BuzzTube is like their version of YouTube, I guess, where they're gonna open an account, post that video, and she goes, if this goes viral, you're gonna make a lot of money really fast. And she goes, I have a friend at BuzzTube. Her name is Jess, and she's the head algorithm over at BuzzTube. So you go over there, you tell them Shank sent you, and she's gonna help you get, the views and the likes that you need to get the money.
Can I just say I hate that name?
Jess?
Yeah.
Like what the hell?
I don't know.
It's so lazy. BuzzTube? Are you serious?
BuzzTube.
Right
I
now?
thought yes.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
What are the biggest things?
Yes,
BuzzFeed
I
and
also don't
YouTube?
get Yes's name. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I hate BuzzTube. I just don't understand what Yes's name is. But like, I mean, I don't understand why that's her name. Like what?
Maybe it was like Jess from Jessica or something.
Okay, and it was like
oh.
yes, we like it. I don't understand the name. That's the only. I'm just confused by the name. Yes, but BuzzTube I hate.
You know what I hate? That moment where there someone goes, oh, you need to post it on BuzzTube, and Ralph goes, what's BuzzTube? And one of the gang, a girl from the gang, is like, oh, you don't know what BuzzTube is? BuzzTube is this site for videos, and like, this really exposition thing, and like,
I don't understand how that get past like a lot of script revision. Like, you would believe that movies released in 2018 would not have that.
I mean,
It's like that part in Big Hero 6 when they're talking about their parents, and they're like, oh, little brother, remember what happened? And Hero's like, oh, no, I don't remember, because you remember that their parents died when I was this age. It's like,
yeah, like, do we really need that kind of like big exposition? Could you not
Kids
find
are not
another
that
way
stupid.
to explain that to us? And like, we're not dumb, But anyway, so that happens. So now the mission is to get over to BuzzTube to find Yes, and so she will help them get more views in their videos, and so that they can get money from it, because YouTube is like very lucrative. I mean, BuzzTube is like a lucrative place. So they go over to BuzzTube, they find Jess, and on their way, Vanellope is just gushing over Shank. She's like, isn't she like the best, the coolest person ever? And she's obviously so in love with Shank. Like, I mean, we
she
all
has
are.
like a big fat crush.
it's so funny. I love
And
it.
like, and Ralph goes, tell me one thing about her that's cool. And she's like, okay, so her hair's cool, her car's cool, her name is cool, and everything. And she just goes on and on and on. And so obviously at this moment, Ralph gets jealous of Shank because Penelope has a big crush on her. And yeah, so that happens. So they go over to BossTube, and they meet with Jess, who tells them that, okay, you made a really great video, but if you want to keep being relevant, you need to keep them going. So they start making a bunch of viral videos with the intention of getting more views and and getting more money out of them. And we get this like very fast montage of Ralph doing very different kind of viral videos. He does one where he's eating a very hot chili, and one where he's dressed like Bob Ross and he's painting. He's doing a painting, and one where he's doing like an unboxing, one where he's doing like makeup, and all this time we're watching like the reaction of the human world. And basically he's become like a viral sensation, like like a meme. He's basically become he has the one with the goat, the screaming goat.
I'm gonna say it. Can I say it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what you think I'm gonna say. I'm going to say that all of these videos, they give me a real feeling, and aside from the cringe, I think I finally narrowed it down. When we finally get to the after credit scene, and I think we're going to talk about that, I could point it out. All of these videos of Ralph in these internet situations remind me of when people put Shrek animations.
Yes, that's
because
exactly
they have the same body type and it's just as cringy, but without the irony, so it's kind of worse. And that's why I don't like it.
I do think they're trying to emulate that kind of meme where like Shrek, that he's everywhere, and like every single meme that exists, you get a version with Shrek because that's funny. And we even like get a scene of two guys in an office. And this guy has a really cool R2D2 tie, but that's non-relevant. But he finds one of the Ralph videos, and he turns over to his office colleague, and he's like, "Do you remember that video game character Wreck-It Ralph?" And so basically what they're setting up is that Ralph is a character that exists like in a very retro way, and like people don't know who he is, but he hasn't been relevant for a while, and then out of nowhere.
It's like when people do Sonic animations.
Yeah.
Like those terrible CGI, I think it's with Shrek. That's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But they're doing that in a Disney movie. This is super weird.
Yeah. But now we're getting to the best part. So he does all of these videos, and now Jess's plan is to send a bunch of pop-ups all over the internet, so more people are gonna click on them and get them more views. So Vanellope wants to help, and Jess gives her a pop-up, and she sends her away, and Ralph gets really worried, and he's like, "Where are you going? You cannot go without me. We haven't been separated in 6 years. I don't want anything bad to happen to you." And Vanellope's like, "It's okay. I'm gonna be fine." And she goes away, but Ralph is like, "Okay, but send her to a place that's because Jess wants to send her over to the video game part of the internet." And he's like, "Nope," because of course he's so possessive. He doesn't want her to be around the slaughter race game. And so he's like, "Send her to the most safe and family-friendly place you can send her." And, what about this little pink castle over here? She's a princess. She will fit right in. And she's like, "Okay, so I'm gonna send Vanellope to ohmydisney.com." And then we get the best moment of the movie. I'm sorry, I would like unapologetically love this moment, like all of it.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just that. Okay, my issue is not this part of the movie. Actually, I like it because I am a sellout and I'm proud of it.
Same.
But the thing that damaged this, it was totally the marketing. And I think this is like a current theme with Disney movies, when the marketing is so obnoxious or they show too much, and that's why people start not liking it and start like going against it. But the scenes that these characters are in, like the princesses are in, are good, and they're short.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to be the I am a Disney princesses in record Ralph apologist.
Same.
As I think we all are here.
Same,
yeah.
I mean, at
Yeah.
least Gina. Okay.
Yeah.
I just love it how also like just basically Oh My Disney is like the D23 floor. Because that's exactly how it looks like the Muppets and Marvel and like in Star Wars and Pixar logos. That's like that's D23.
I'm sure they took inspiration from that. So Vanellope shows up at Oh My Disney, and she immediately runs into a bunch of Disney characters. Like I think the first one that she sees is Eeyore, which is fitting because we just talked about Winnie the Pooh. And because she's saying like, oh my god, princesses and cartoon, like this is so lame. And
That was too much.
And Eeyore is like, oh hey. And she goes, sorry. And then she just starts walking over the people, trying to get everyone to click on the ad. And she runs into Groot, who's like giving a question. He's answering questions. He's doing a Q&A. And they're like, how is Drax in person? And he's like, I'm good. In Captain America Winter Soldier, someone says that you're part of the Yggdrasil tree. What do you have to say about that? I'm good. It's just hilarious. I'm sorry.
Can you believe a fanboy has a cameo on a Disney movie?
I think they're trying to make fun of him, like, there's always like this guy who's trying to show off too much, like he knows everything about it, and he's trying to outsmart, the people who are actually.
And I think he's voiced by a comedian. Like, I like him a lot. I like that comedian a lot. He's in a bunch of like comedy films. I think he's in Parks and Rec. Oh no, he's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
It's Pimento.
Yes, it's Pimento. It's Pimento. I like him a lot. He's funny. Obnoxiously
He's also in
funny.
Parks and Rec.
Yeah, he's obnoxiously funny. He's one of the few actors that does it well.
Yeah.
So Vanellope runs also into stormtroopers who start chasing her because they're like, you don't have permission to have that pop-up ad. And she starts running, and she bumps into Grumpy. She bumps into Nick. There's a really cool moment. It's not, if you blink, you miss it, but there's Rocket having like a conversation with Yuri Hobbs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it's like the same moment where Iron Man is like giving like autographs. Yeah. And there's also like the princess show, and it's like the the BuzzFeed quizzes about
I love that.
Who's your favorite? What princess is your best friend? And there's like one person that's answering the questions, and like the question is, what would your friend say is your best quality? And like, oh, you're kind, you're loyal, you're smart, or something else. Oh, you're brave. And he's like, and the little girl is like, oh, I guess kind. And she clicks on it, and the presenter is like, well, your princess best friend is Snow White. And she goes, our friendship's gonna be the fairest of them all. And it's so cute. I love it. And I have done that quiz. Full disclosure.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I don't remember who I got, but I definitely have took that quiz. And so Vanellope is being chased by the stormtroopers, and she ends up glitching into the princess. What would you call that? Like a not restroom.
No, like
Dressing room.
Dressing room. Yeah.
I was gonna say dream room. Just a
Also-
joke.
Oh, can I just say that this room of the princesses it's just like the dwarves, the princesses, and the Avengers.
What?
Like the rooms that they are like the first
the
one
dwarves.
is the room for the dwarves.
Yeah.
Then it's the princesses, and then it's the Avengers.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Like this whole scene is so full of Easter eggs and cameos. Like we could not be able to
It's
go
fun,
over all of them,
yeah.
but like if you pause it, you're gonna find so many. Oh, Buzz Lightyear also shows up, and Tim Allen, I
And
guess,
Baymax.
made a cameo saying "To Infinity and Beyond." It's Baymax, yes. Honey Lemon, it's also there. A bunch of Disney
It's a fun
characters.
time.
Yeah, and so she ends up at the princess dressing room, and the princesses see her and they go into full attack mode. I love the
iconic.
best one is Cinderella that crushes her slipper and
Completely
she points it at
savage.
Vanellope. So savage.
Completely.
Yeah. So everyone is there. Snow White, Aurora, Cinderella, Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, Mulan, Pocahontas, Rapunzel, Tiana, Anna, Elsa, and
Merida.
Merida. Yeah.
Moana.
And Moana. Also, like another thing, like this is gonna be outdated in a couple years when more princesses.
Exactly, that's the other thing that I was going to say. I think that was kind of my main concern that I externed when I just watched that. It was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
when more princesses are added, when it's going to happen.
Like, I'm really happy that this scene exists, but I'm also like, I know that sometime in my life I'm gonna be like, I wish like Raya.
Raya.
But Raya's not going to be a princess, I don't think.
Oh, she's not.
I don't know.
But I don't think she's a princess.
Anyway, so she meets all the princesses and she's like, okay, girls, no, don't attack me. You know, I'm a princess just like you. And they ask, what kind of princess are you? Do you have magic hair? And this became a meme, so I know you guys know it. It really became a meme. Like, does your hair have magic powers? Were you poisoned? Do you have daddy issues? And Vanellope goes, I don't even have parents. And a bunch of them just go, us neither.
Neither do we.
Neither do we.
It was the I don't even have a mom, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I don't even have a mom. And by the end, do you talk to animals? And it's like Pocahontas. Oh, it's so cute. And the last one is Rapunzel asking, okay, but does everyone think that your problems got solved because a big, strong man came and saved you? And Vanellope goes, yes, what's up with that? And like, oh, yeah, she's a princess. And Snow White sings. Hilarious. Oh, and the best one is, it's Belle and Rapunzel asking her, were you imprisoned or enslaved? And Vanellope goes, no, are you guys okay? Do you want me to call the police?
Okay, I'm going to say that Disney's self-awareness peaked with Enchanted.
Yes.
And actually, I think all of the other things that they're trying to sneak in, like the princess line of Moana, have not been, I mean, they're not for me because I kind of feel like they're cringe.
Yeah.
But, and I think like this is in there. This could go into cringe territory, but because they're the characters that I love, I give it a pass. But I understand why people don't.
Yeah. I get that.
Mm-hmm. I do think that because it's the characters themselves, like being aware of that, it just makes it even more funny. And I'm sorry, I'm an apologist of this scene, like you said. So I just love every second of it. And I don't know what the transition is between this and then.
Oh, it's because they really like her outfit, and it's like, oh, they're so comfy. And then Cinderella's like, I'm going to get my mice into it, and then it's like this Batman transition.
Oh yeah,
what's going on?
And now everyone is like in their pajamas and really comfy clothes, and I want all of them, but especially I want Rapunzel's. I want Rapunzel's leggings. I want Rapunzel's shirt. I want Rapunzel's hoodie. I want everything, and everyone is just like chilling. And Cinderella goes, let's welcome Vanellope, the princess of, what does she say, comfort?
I think it's comfort.
The princess of comfort. And they just go into a whole conversation about wishes and dreaming. Oh, because Ariel goes, I used to dream that I'd wear a shirt. And it's and the light comes in and it's all dramatic. And Vanellope just asks what's wrong with her. And they're like, well, she's singing about her dreams. Like, it's so obvious. And they explain to her that what has helped them in the past is, like, get into a special body of water and staring at it. And then all the answers to, like, their questions and their dreams are gonna appear. And they're gonna sing.
That is iconic.
It is.
And
important water.
And yeah, so they just have this really cute bonding scene with Vanellope. I don't want to make it too long, but it's just so great. And they even take Merida jumps in the conversation and she starts talking in like the very thick Scottish accent, and Vanellope is like, what did she say? And they're like, we don't know, we don't understand her half the time. And Anna says it's because she comes from the other studio.
Yeah.
That was, oh god, I don't know if I like that joke, but I understand that joke and why it's there.
That is like half of the jokes in that, like, in this era, like, oh my god, look at this reference. You have to laugh because you understand it.
Yeah. But anyway, so C-3PO shows up out of nowhere.
That was the best part of the whole scene. Like, of course, C-3PO is the butler of the Disney princesses.
Yes.
Like, why else? What else would they have made him do after they bought Lucasfilm? Of course.
Yeah. So C-3PO shows up and he's like, we have another showing of What Princess is Your Best Friend in 5 minutes, princesses. And they're like, ah. So they say goodbye to Vanellope and they just remind her that, you know, an important body of water and you will find whatever it is that you're looking for. And so she goes away and she stares at like a rain pot. I don't know what to call it. Like a puddle.
She had a cup with water and she dumped the water there.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And she just stares at it and she's like, give me a song, tell me what I need. And all this time, Vanellope is just trying to suppress what she knows she wants, which is staying over at Slaughter Race because she loved it, because it was an amazing experience for her. And now I'm getting a little lost. So can you help me with
this is the part. This is the song of the movie.
No, wait, but is that now?
Okay, Ralph gets it. Ralph gets the money and Ralph gets the steering wheel and he talks to Vanellope and he's all excited and she's like, oh yeah.
Oh,
okay. And that's what triggers the song.
Yeah. But also there's a moment where Ralph goes and looks at the comments of the videos and it's so dramatic. And everyone is like, oh, Ralph sucks, and this is not funny, and whatever, and stupid mean comments about Ralph, and Jess comes in and she's like, oh yeah, that's the #1 rule of the internet, never look at the comments. And Ralph is like, it's okay.
They tried to make it dramatic, but it was funny.
It is really funny. But yeah, I mean, I guess the emotional part is like, you know, that Ralph is hurt because he's used to being called names, but he's like, it's okay because now I got the money so I can get Vanellope back, and like he just goes back to, oh, Vanellope is like the solution to all my problems.
Yeah.
And that's when he calls Vanellope, and Vanellope is having this existential crisis with the important body of water. And when she finds out, oh, we got the money, now I'm gonna be able to get back to my game, she realizes that's not what she wants, and now Slaughter Race happens. Oh, the song called A Place Called Slaughter Race.
Oh god.
Great song.
Okay.
They brought Alan Menken just for the purpose of this song.
No, I love this because Alan Menken came back for Tangled and then he just disappeared. And then he just came back for this song. And it's like, that's amazing. And actually, I don't know if you're going to go bit by bit for it, but I think that the part that made me realize it was an Alan Menken song before I read the credits is right at the end.
Yeah?
When it's just like this, the song like calms down and it's just like Vanellope singing sweetly and softly, and then it ends with a dee-dee. And it's like, oh my god, it's an Alan Menken song. I recognize it.
The ding. Yeah, it's such an Alan Menken like staple. But yeah, it's obviously a parody song of the I Want song. You know, it's supposed to be ridiculous and it's supposed to be you know, not cringy, but yes, like, okay, it's supposed to be like a big musical number, but it's talking about like this game that's so violent and how she just wants to stay there. But the thing that's holding her back is Ralph, because she doesn't want to hurt his feelings and she doesn't want him to feel like she abandoned him. And so she gets to talk with Shank, and Shank is telling her about how friends don't always have to dream about the same things, and she should know, like, she had trouble in the past understanding that, but that's like the knowledge that she wants to put onto Vanellope. And so just saying that, you know, you don't have to live next door to your friends to remain friends, and that shouldn't stop you from chasing your dreams, you know, because you don't have to have the same dreams as your friend. But all this time, Ralph is listening to a conversation because he was calling Vanellope over in the thingy, like the video call thingy, but she couldn't hear him, but he could hear her. And this is when Ralph finds out that Vanellope wants to stay over at Slaughter Race, and she doesn't want to come back even after everything that they did to get the steering wheel back. And Ralph gets really mad, really, really, really mad. And he's like, okay, so there was this game back at the arcade that Vanellope really liked, but she stopped liking it because it became slow because of a virus. So he asks his family, do you have something like a virus that could slow down Slaughter Race so that Vanellope would not want to stay and will want to come back home with me? And his family is like, yes, I know just what you want. And they go into the deep web. How did that make it into this movie? And like, they don't even, like, they don't dwell on it. We don't see anything like too shady, but they go into the deep web, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's.
And this
that's
is what
something
made
that
me
happened.
realize. This is what made me realize that the setting of the internet is the same setting as Coruscant.
Oh, I see.
Because they go deep in the levels.
I see what you mean. Yeah, you're right. I love that.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
Stanley takes Ralph to meet, like, what's the name of the guy?
Double Dan.
Double Dan and his little
Played
brother.
by Alfred Molina, the guy who's dating Jennifer Lee.
Oh,
Fun fact.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh my God. Funny how things work out.
Jennifer Lee.
Yeah. So Double Dan has a little brother that's like a little head that's coming out of his neck, and he gets really mad when people stare at it. But he's the one that has the viruses. So Ralph goes to him and he asks for a virus that will slow down the game of Slaughter Race. And Double Dan brings out a virus that looks kind of like a Neo that will lock on an insecurity in the game, and it will multiply it until, like, you know, the game is quote unquote boring, as you put it. And so they take the virus, and Ralph goes over to Slaughter Race, and he frees it there while Vanellope is having, like, the time of her life over at the game. But the virus catches Vanellope's glitch, and that's the insecurity that it multiplies in the game. And so the game crashes down, and it's really dangerous because if Vanellope would have died there, she would have died because she's out of her game. But they managed to get the people out, and Vanellope feels really bad. She's like, this is my fault because that's my glitch. I made the game malfunction, and, like, because I was chasing, like, a stupid dream, and I almost hurt the people of Slaughter Race. And Ralph has to come through, and he's like, you know what? I think it was more like my fault. And he tells her about the virus and why he did it. And Vanellope gets rightfully really mad, and she takes very dramatically, she takes Ralph's medal that she made for him last movie, the cookie medal, and she throws it over, and it breaks. And she's like, I think she says something along the lines like, I don't ever want to see you again, and we're not friends anymore. And she...
Okay, can I confess something?
Yeah.
In my rewatch, I skipped all of this part up until the part when the princesses show up.
It's
again.
okay. It's okay.
Because I know how it's going to end, and I don't like mindless conflict. So, yeah.
It's fine. It's
You
very...
did too?
No, I didn't. I suffered through it, and I made notes.
How you made notes. I love that.
It's the word. It was because because I loved this film before. I was like, holy shit, balls. It's bad. No, I don't want to say bad, but like it's just, oh my god.
This part is bad. It's not all bad.
Let's rush to the finish line so we can actually have like the discussion that we all want to have. So Ralph feels really bad about it, but the virus is still out there. So Vanellope goes away, and the virus catches on to Ralph, and they detect, and the virus detects an insecurity in Ralph, which is his the codependence on Vanellope. And so he takes that and he multiplies it all over the internet. So basically now the internet is crashed down because of Ralph's insecurity that takes the form of a bunch of million dumb Ralph clones. Like, they're really dumb. God. Like, they're the only thing that they are able to say is friend. And the only thing that they're able to do is chase Vanellope around. Because, like, the idea is that it's just visual representations of his fear of losing Vanellope. And so, and there's a billion of Ralph clones, and they form this gigantic Ralph that I believe they call him Ralphzilla.
Oh, what?
Yes.
Like in the movie? Or like
in the subtitles? In the subtitles, there was like the moment where it says Ralphzilla, and the double dots, and then like or whatever he was saying. And so we get to this is the climax of the movie. So like Ralph and Jess and Vanellope need to find a way to get rid of the viruses, and the only way to do that, they get the information from Knowsmore, and is that they need to bait their giant Ralphzilla into like an antivirus firewall. And so they use Vanellope as the bait, and they just run around the internet destroying things like Pinterest and Wikipedia and Google. And at one point, Ralphzilla gets a hold of Vanellope and Ralph both, and Ralph has a face-to-face talk with Ralphzilla, and he basically lays it out that you don't own your friends. Basically, it's what he tells him, the giant thingy. Like, you don't own your friends, and if you want her to be happy, you're gonna let her do her own thing, and you're gonna let her go, and yes, it's gonna hurt you, but if that's what she wants, you should be happy for her, because you do not own her. Basically, that's the gist of it. And so this emotional speech is what cures the virus, the insecurity, and they all disappear. They become like golden, and they just go away. And I think Vanellope is the one that goes, "Oh, Ralph, I think you fixed your insecurity." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I think I did." And yeah. So this is basically the end of the movie, where Vanellope decides that she does want to stay over at Slaughter Race, and that's what she's gonna do. And Ralph is okay with it, and so they part ways. Shank adds Vanellope's code to the game. I don't know how she does it, but we get told that she does. And now Vanellope is gonna stay over at Slaughter Race as a character that you can play with, I guess. I don't know exactly how that
didn't
works.
know that's how that worked.
Me neither. But she's gonna stay over at Slaughter Race. Ralph is gonna go back to the arcade. They managed to get the steering wheel, so the people of Sugar Rush are gonna be okay. And they, for the first time in 6 years, they part ways. And now they don't get to see each other, but they talk every night over with the video call thingies. And I don't know and we get the final scene with Felix and Calhoun, where they're back at Sugar Rush, and now all the racers are like super nice, and they're super kind to each other, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry you didn't win, Taffeta," and Taffeta goes, "It's okay, our friendship is worth more than just some stupid race." And the Blue Man asks Felix and Calhoun, "How did you manage to parent these kids into like being decent human beings?" And they start explaining, but their voices get cut off by the sound of the racing. And so we don't know what they say.
It has the same vibe as in that episode of The Fairly Odd Parents, when the dad is about to say his name. Do you remember that? But everyone calls me Timmy's dad.
And yeah, so they say that, and then Calhoun finishes off with, and that's how you raise the perfect children. And the blue man goes, oh, I wish every parent could hear that. But and yeah, so the movie ends in Game Central Station with Ralph having a video call with Vanellope before the arcade opens, and they just basically say goodbye the way that they say goodbye, which is like calling each other names. And yeah, so, and we end the movie with Ralph's voiceover saying that everything was fine and that they still see each other sometimes, but they are getting used to just video calling, and that he's fine because, you know, whatever. Because he grew up, because he grew as a person. And then the movie ends. And that's it. And we get Zero by Imagine Dragons.
And the best part
hello,
of the movie.
Hello, na 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 na. Yeah. Great song, by the way.
Actually, okay, say whatever you want, but the moment that the camera starts panning out of the arcade and the song starts playing,
it's
I
really
want
cool.
To cry.
Yeah.
I want to, like, it just, I don't know, it's just because it reminds me of that whole era of our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. I don't ask you guys to I just have a personal connection with that song.
No, it's okay. So we get the credit scene with Zero, which are really cool, and then we get a middle credit scene, which is a little girl who looks just like Moana as a baby.
It's the model of Moana, just because they didn't want to make another baby model.
And her mom, they're in the car, and her mom asks, did you like the movie, sweetie? And she's like, I did, but there was a scene that was in the trailer that wasn't in the movie, and that got me really sad. And she's like, and the mom is like, okay, so, well, maybe you can play a game and they will take your mind off it. Okay. And this is the scene that was in the trailer that everyone laughed at, and they thought it was hilarious, which is like the game scene where Ralph keeps feeding the bunny a bunch of pancakes until it explodes and the little girl screams in the car, and that's where it cuts off. That's a really hilarious thing. Like the pop. Yeah. And the girl screaming, like her face is in full terror. That's hilarious to me.
I think someone made the game, or it was released, because I played it.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love that.
And then we get an after credit scene that starts by saying, and now an exclusive teaser of Frozen 2. Click here. And then you click it and it's a Rick roll. But instead of, Rick Astley, it's Ralph
This
singing.
is the Shrek moment.
Na, 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 na.
Because I've seen that with Shrek.
Ah,
I've seen that exact same video with Shrek.
Oh my god.
That's hilarious. And
okay.
yeah, so like, I guess like the joke, I mean, I don't think many Gen Z kids are gonna understand what a Rickroll is, but it's like the longest running gag in the internet, so I understand why they added that.
Yeah.
Okay, they got it. They had to.
It's funny. Like what really gets to me is John C. Reilly singing, because that he really goes for it. He's like, never gonna give you. Yeah, it's hilarious for me.
He's feeling his oats.
He's feeling his oats. But yeah, so that's Ralph Breaks the Internet. So now, please, let's talk about it, because I really want to talk about it. Tammy, you made notes. So do you want to start us off?
So do I start off with the positives?
Whatever you want to say about the movie.
Okay, so we'll just go.
Yeah.
Okay, so... okay, so I think this movie had, like, a really good message. I just don't think it was executed very well. Okay, I think there are a lot of positives, like the animation's very pretty. There's a lot of funny moments. I love the princesses scene. I will always love that, I hope. But I do love that very much. I think Slaughter Race is really cool. Shank and Yes, I need a short film of their friendship. I need it. And like I said, I think the message is really good, but it's so jarring seeing it next to Wreck-It Ralph, which is such an amazing film, because I don't know, all I saw were just repeats of what was in the film, of what was in the original film, just worse. Just like how they jump sites, they jump games. They jump sites in this new film, they jump games in the last film. Ralph intentionally wrecking Slaughter Race is Ralph intentionally wrecking her cart, but it doesn't work because Ralph is such a douche by wrecking the game because he does it with bad intentions. But with Ralph wrecking her cart, he does it with good intentions because he really believes he's protecting her. The virus is like the cybugs, and their argument about the virus is their argument over the race. It's just hitting all the same beats, but just worse because you don't get the emotional payout of it. And Ralph sacrificing him to the giant, which I wrote it when it just happened. It wasn't really a big thing, but it was like that was also he also did a sacrifice in the original film, which was like how I'm trying to be forgiving to this film because how can you have a climax live up to that? Just amazing. I was sobbing when I watched the original film like 2 nights ago. I was sobbing. Like it's such a great film. It's very hard to live up to, but it's the problems with this is not just living up to the film, it's with the film in itself. And like everything Ralph did left a very bad taste in my mouth because it's not him. I get it, characters develop, characters change, but Ralph is the kind of person that just wants to do the best for people, and especially Vanellope. Like the Ralph that is intentionally putting a virus in Slaughter Race is not the same Ralph that intentionally wrecked Vanellope's cart to protect her, or basically was going to sacrifice himself in order to create a beacon so all the cybugs were going to be so the cybugs would go away. That's not the same Ralph, and characters can develop, but this was just not in a good way. And the message is like, while I think it's very good, it's so on the nose. Like, how many times did Yes and Shank give them friendship advice? How many times did that virus say, searching for insecurities? For insecurities. It's an insecurity virus. Like, and like what we all agreed upon silently when Vanellope said, I think your insecurity has been fixed. Like, it's so on the nose. And like, he literally made an entire speech to his big self. Like, there's a giant insecurity Ralph Giant saying, I want to be your friend. I don't know how much more on the nose you can get with the message you want to. Like, this movie is the ultimate, like, breaks the rule of show, don't tell, like, in so many different ways. I think it's one of the worst I feel like I've seen of breaking this rule. And, that rule can be broken if it's done creatively and cleverly or for like efficiency's sake, but it just was, I don't know what the purpose of that was for. Just, did they not think they would get it? I don't understand. I really don't understand how they did that writing wise, because it's very bad. I can say that. That's not good. Like, Ralph even says to himself that he's clingy and self-destructive. Knowsmore calls him codependent. Like, it's just how I guess is my thing. It's just, I was very disappointed in that because it's a message that I feel like is very good for kids to understand and to learn. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that could have been something Ralph genuinely developed in his time, like, as a character, because he did live a life without friends for a very long time. So because that's like, this is why I loved it so much, because that's how I felt. I didn't really make my first friend until I was 21, and that does something to your brain. You like that person becomes your everything. And I understand what, where that comes from, but it's just not done very well, and it's done in a very unlikable way. Like, I would compare him to Mushu in Mulan 2.
Yes.
How he tries to sabotage everything. Right. Like that. Okay. Yeah.
No, it's just like, again, like PG writing.
Yeah.
Okay, on your the thing that you said, but that, like, the thing that we hinted at the beginning of the episode, like the first, like, Ralph in the original is just like an insecure character that has, like, it has flaws and he can make like some faults, but he never does anything that you, I don't know, will roll your eyes back at. Mm-hmm. And he is just like an idiot, and this movie is fucking stupid and everything. Like, this movie, like, the main conflict was because they were stupid and they bet on the steering wheel wrong, and the other conflict is because he did something that was obviously bad, but sent in the virus, and it's like, why, like, just like I said, I skipped the whole part because it's frustrating.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's just like Ralph's not an idiot, you know? He's soft and he just wants the I guess I also don't like that. Like you like it's just making a character that's soft and pure and like wants the best for everyone, and you're equating that with being simple and being like an idiot, which is very bad. Harmful in itself, you know what? Because you shouldn't be equating characters, especially male characters, in that way, because I feel like it can perpetuate a harmful stereotype, you know, like that. And that's very bad on Disney, because they had a really good male character on their hands here, and they really did him dirty in this film, which I don't like.
Yeah,
I don't like it, you know, and that's rare. That's rare to have a male character that's, you know, big and beefy, almost a himbo. But you know, like, almost. It's just very disappointing for Disney to do that, because they could have done something really great. And like I've said before, Wreck-It Ralph is like, it has love in it, you know. It's a love letter to video games. It's a love letter to the films, to the video games, to the games that made the people making it happy when they were kids, you know, and that you can feel that love as you watch it, especially in the characters they've created. And, you know, it's very understandable for a film about the internet to not have that same level of love, because you don't love the internet in that way. You know, a lot of people, it's a very love-hate relationship you have with the internet, and doesn't have any nostalgic feels because it's very, very current. So yes, I get it to some extent why it wouldn't have the same level of love with as Wreck-It Ralph. But then just don't make the movie. You know what I mean? I feel like this could have been better if it was done in a short film format. You know, because I feel like this is like, because I feel like just the conflict, I don't know, it's just not as strong. It's not strong for a feature film. I feel like this could have been cool to see as a short film, to see Wreck-It Ralph's character develop, but not have to suffer through it for 2 hours.
Okay, yeah.
You know, like, this could have been
movie's
done.
long.
This could have been done for 30 minutes. They could have done the same exact thing. They could have made Ralph like this, I guess. I don't know. I feel like it could have been easier to swallow in a 30-minute format. Or I don't know how long their short films are. They're usually like 6 minutes, right? But like, it's just like, it didn't need to be a feature film. And they could have done like all the internet trying to stay current, all these like little jokes. Maybe they could have even done it better, because they didn't have to stretch it out for a feature film length. The more I talk about it, I think the more I'm getting heated, because I'm just very disappointed in it. Vanellope is also like, I think she's more annoying in this film. I really do. like I feel like, who voices her? What's her name? I forget her name. Silver something.
Sarah
Silverman. I feel like she toes that line between like annoying and funny. You know what I mean? She tiptoes across that line very shakily for me, and she knocked it out of the park with Vanellope in the original film. But here, I don't know. There was something about, I just didn't like, with Wreck-It Ralph. I loved all the characters. With here, the characters I love became a little annoying and stale and are like a shell of their former selves. Like, I love Fix-It Felix and Calhoun, especially Calhoun. What did they do to her? Like, I know she's barely in it, but there's no depth to her, and I get it, she's only there for 5 minutes, but I don't know that woman.
No, because like in the first movie, she was so like down to business, and she like so serious and calculative, and like for her to just out of nowhere be like, okay, I'm gonna adopt 15 children. It's like, that's not the kind of person that's, you know, a general like in war, which you are.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just, it was just really like that. I guess that's the main essence of my complaint, my formal complaint at Disney, is that all the characters that we love in the original film are just a shell of who they were before, and the side characters we got, while they're great and I do like them, they don't compare. Yeah, they don't compare to Fix-It Felix, Calhoun, even King Candy. I even like Sour Bill. Like,
Sour Bill.
I love
He's
Sour
the best.
Bill.
you know, it's just, and it just doesn't, like, they try to, I think that's it. They just try to do the same things, and they do it worse. Like, it's bad to do the same thing again. Like, they hit the same beats, and they do it worse. And that's what's bad about it.
Yeah.
And there's no love here. There's no love. There's no intention. They just wanted to make a movie. I don't know. I can't say what they wanted to do, but that's just what it feels like to me. They just wanted to make a movie about the internet because they thought it would be cool and to stay current. And there was not much love into it. I can't even see I can't even see love for the first film in it, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess that's my main point. I guess what I was really upset, I don't know if the right word's upsetting, but like just stood out to me was just the poor execution of the message, because I really loved the message, and all I saw was the message when I first saw it, but now that I can see it in a critical eye, and with watching it back to back, I could see how poorly executed it was. And it's funny because like when I first watched the film, I saw all these reviews hating on it, and I was like, I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
now I understand. I understand now. But yeah, that's me.
It's okay. I love that you went for it, girl.
I didn't realize it was like that's how I felt until I started talking about it.
That's
just
why
funny.
making this podcast is so healthy for us, because like we just find out things about ourselves, I guess. Andy, do you have your opinion? Do you want to give us your opinion?
Yeah. Yes, I'm going to comment on that, on the last part, because I actually don't think that this didn't have heart in it.
Okay.
I actually don't think this wasn't a labor of love. I actually think that this was a great idea at the beginning, and I actually think that maybe it was because they needed to rush things. That's why at the end of the day they just decided, okay, this is like a good enough script.
But who was
and they
rushing
didn't think
them?
much of it.
It was 6 years. They
No,
developed the movie for 6 years. Who was rushing them?
They did?
no, I don't think it was developed for 6 years. But I mean, like the company puts a deadline. Like we saw that in the Frozen documentary. Like they set up a deadline, and that's what they want to do. I don't mean like I'm really trying really hard to defend this movie, but I think that their intentions were good at the beginning.
Okay.
And I don't know if I can blame all of this in one person, but I don't know if losing Jennifer Lee was kind of the things that made it, because even I like the first Frozen movie, I don't think it has like a really tight script or whatever, so maybe I cannot maybe I'm contradicting myself on this, but I think it was a good idea, and they just lost track on it. And I think I won't ever be able to hate this movie, and I won't ever be able to even like seriously dislike it. It's just like, oh, it's a movie in the revival era that maybe is like on the bottom, but I won't put it like on the bottom of all Disney movies. And it's just because of my attachment to it, maybe. But I do agree that I didn't think critically of it until maybe yesterday that I was watching it.
Maybe you need to watch the full climax scene before the princesses.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll help. I'm not telling you to. I'm just saying maybe that's also.
No, I thought about it because when I was watching it, I realized that I wasn't having like a great experience. That's why I decided not to watch that part.
Which is
but
valid.
That's the same thing that happened to me. I think maybe because when all the reviews were starting to come out, when the movie came out, and I saw like all of these channels that were really trashing the movie.
Yeah.
When men do that, I tend to get defensive.
I get
So
that.
of course I was going to defend this with all of my soul, because it's like, oh no, like you don't get it, you just want to be a hater. And because this is like really emotional to me, how dare you like tarnish, like you're offending me. And now I know that's not true. But I don't know. It just makes me scared of future movies that I liked and then got bad reviews at the beginning, and I'm not the maybe I'm scared that one day I'm going to watch Frozen 2 and I'm going to realize it's not good. And
Never.
I don't know
that's
how I'm
harder.
going to react.
Because
I feel like that's
well,
harder. Never.
But yeah, the thing that bugged me the most is I was watching the original Wreck-It Ralph movie, and while I was watching that original movie, I realized, I think like 80% of the things that I really love about Wreck-It Ralph are not on the sequel. And that's what dawned on me. And when I was watching the sequel, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I was right. And that hurt.
yeah.
But I don't dislike it.
That's
It's
okay.
weird.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
You're allowed to not dislike. Did I say that right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
You're
Thank
allowed.
you.
That is allowed.
Oh, that's it. I love the princess scenes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I know
I
they're
do
kind
too.
of iffy,
I don't
but
care.
when
They're
you're so
great.
diehard on the like, I love Disney, but I love
Princesses
like,
more.
the princess stand first and Disney stand second. You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
It's just a great scene because, like, also it's the first time that all these princesses are sharing like the same space, like officially. I mean,
Yeah.
there were some shorts in the past, but like in a movie,
House of Mouse.
yeah, but in a movie,
But
in
not
like an
all these
official
new
movie,
ones.
everyone
Yeah.
is like, and they're bonding, and they have like this, like, they're friends with each other, and also like almost all of the original voice actors came back, and that's what also gets you attached to it, because you're like, oh, these actresses that played these very important characters came back just for this, so that makes it special. So that gives it another level, and they just came back for this really cute reunion that's poking fun at the Disney princesses, but at the same time they're giving us like, you know, what I would love to see, which is like the princesses you know, bonding with each other and being friends, and that's what I love about it, and I will never apologize for that. I think it's a great scene.
Yeah.
No.
Agreed.
But okay,
Go ahead.
okay, so the moment I realized something with Ralph Breaks the Internet was wrong was because I watched both movies back to back, and it was very late at night. I think my boyfriend and I started watching the first Wreck-It Ralph at 11 p.m. It was pretty late, and still we watched it, and I swear through all the movie our eyes were glued to the screen, and we were laughing at the jokes, and we were having fun with it, and we were just enjoying the movie, and like we didn't get distracted at all. But as soon as I put Ralph Breaks the Internet in, it was almost 1 a.m. at this point, I guess. And I noticed, like, in the first few minutes, he was staring at his phone. And then in a couple, like, some more minutes down the line, I was checking my phone. And I realized that I'm not missing anything that I'm actually enjoying by being on my phone. And I put the phone down.
Same.
And then just like minutes later, I just picked it back up. And, you know, the movie was basically background noise at this point. And like the one moment where I really put the phone down was when the princesses showed up. And like that made me realize, like, if I'm getting distracted and my boyfriend is getting distracted as well, and that didn't happen in the original movie, like, I guess there's something wrong with how this movie is playing out.
Mm-hmm.
And I do agree with everything you both guys have said. I think the main problem with the movie is the script, and I guess more deeply the concept. I think when I first heard about the internet thing, I thought they were gonna dive into like mobile gaming and internet gaming and how that affects, you know, the arcade industry, and how like maybe the arcade was gonna close because everyone was playing video games like in their computers now.
Exactly.
And that would have like I thought that the idea was focusing on the internet, but internet gaming, you know, not like the full internet. And I think that's the concept that really brought the movie down, because now we're experiencing a movie in a setting that is not original. It's not a fantastic setting like Sugar Rush and Hero's Duty and Fix-It Felix and Game Central Station. It's a place that is real. I mean, it's not real because it's not physical, but the internet is real and all the sites are real, and it's based on a more real life thing, you know? And the story is just not as tight as the original movie. The original movie, you literally cannot miss a scene because every scene is setting up something. The very first scene where Ralph is at Badanon, they set up the turbo thing, and then the cyborg thing, and then the metal thing, and they are
and then the beacon thing.
The beacon thing, and everything pays off in the end because they have the setup and they have the payoff at the end. And everything is so well constructed, and that just goes to show that it was a script that was revised over and over and over again until it was perfect. And I don't think they did that work with the script. I think they were focused more on how do we create the world of the internet, and they just pushed the story to the side, and they just adapted the story to what they wanted to show with the internet. Or we want to go here, we want to go there. So they adapted the story to that instead of letting the story tell them where they wanted to go. And that's like the big mistake that they made. Yeah, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to maybe repeat myself, but it's really, it's if you have like the greatest Disney script ever for your original movie, and then you slack for the second one, it shows even worse.
Yeah. And the original movie like had the advantage that we didn't know these characters, and we were just finding out who they were, and the movie was about learning about them and them growing, you know. And this movie, we already know the characters. We already know who Ralph and Vanellope are. So there's, you know, that's not something that new that you can show us. The only thing new is that where is this relationship going? So now the focus is not on the characters as individuals, but the characters as a relationship, as a duo. And I don't think that's strong enough as making a movie that's about characters than making a movie that's about one relationship, you know? And as Tammy said, it was just like so in the nose. Like I would have taken the plot of like, okay, Ralph, because it makes sense, as Tammy said, Ralph is just clinging on to Vanellope because she's the real first friend that he's ever had. And I understand that from like a psychological point of view. Of course, he would like imprint on her. But there are ways that they could have made it that would have been less cringy, more intelligent. I think this one of those movies that kind of treats the audience like they were dumb. Like they're not going to understand what they're saying. What's up with that? I don't know, because... And the first movie is so smart, and you don't have to be a genius to get it. But, you know, a kid can get it, and an adult can get it, and they will not be bored, you know? And this one doesn't even have a villain. The villain is, you know, Ralph's insecurities. And, yeah, so I think the big thing with this is the script and the story. And, you know, if you don't have a tight script and a tight story, then it's very hard to get a good movie out of it. And I do agree with Tammy that I was watching it and I was like, this could have been an episode of a TV show. Like if they gave Wreck-It Ralph its TV show, this could have been an episode in there, you know? Yeah. And they could have made another episode with Felix and Calhoun taking care of the children, you know?
Oh no, missed opportunity.
They could have. They could have.
Yeah. So it's funny that this movie, that is the first like official theatrically released sequel since The Rescuers Down Under, and it's the first like CGI, and it's the first like in this revival era. You would think that they would have learned from the mistakes of the past, but no, this movie still falls into the mistakes of the direct-to-home video sequels. That's like disregarding the original movie, making a movie that has nothing to do with the original characters, making the characters out of character, and focusing more on the gimmicks and other things other than story, not focusing on how we can move the story forward, just like looking back on it. How, with so many years and so many failed sequels, how did you manage to still make the same mistakes? It's mind-blowing to me
I know.
how much of a
believe?
direct-to-home video sequel this is. And you know what? I think a lot of people give Frozen 2 so much shit for things that it doesn't deserve. And I think this movie just got a pass. You know, like, yeah, it's not good
because it doesn't
but
have
we're
like
not gonna
that
mess
big
with that.
cultural capital that Frozen is.
I agree. I think that's why.
Yeah.
But still, like, I think more people would agree that, like, Ralph is a better movie than Frozen. I think people, like, in general would agree. So you would think that making a bad sequel to Wreck-It Ralph would have been worse culturally accepted than a bad quote-unquote Frozen sequel, which it wasn't. But, like, my point was that this sequel is objectively a worse sequel than Frozen 2, but no one talks about it. And they just prefer to shit on Frozen than to actually shit on Wreck-It Ralph. They just like, okay, so it was a bad sequel, but whatever, we're not gonna talk about it. We're over it. It's a kids movie, but they cannot do the same thing for Frozen. It's hypocritical. That's it. But yeah, I don't want to get too caught up on it, but there are many things that I like about it, and I don't want to go out on a bad note. I do like the princess stuff, and I think the message was important, as Tammy said, that it's at the end of the day, it's really nice to have a movie about friendship. Because so many movies are about love and family and whatever, but there are so few movies that talk about specific problems to friendships. And so that's why I think it's an important message to send out, but they just didn't do it in the right way. And I think the humor, it does have a lot of really funny things. I love Nose more. I really like Shank.
I love the joke of, are you the head of Al Gore?
Oh yeah, that's so funny.
Oh my god.
I always laugh at that. Like a little quick, like you can tell which jokes are like from Rich Moore, you know, because that's his kind of sense of humor. And I think the movie suffers from like a lack of Rich Moore. He's not alone directing. He has a co-director. And I don't know if that also influenced how less of a movie this feels like, because like it feels like Rich Moore didn't have as much control as he did, you know, back with Wreck-It Ralph.
It's difficult to point out, especially in animated movies, whose fault is it, because usually just like it's such a huge team. But
at the end of the day, you have to have someone that says this is not working, this joke is not working,
and they didn't have that.
No, I don't think they did.
It shows.
Yeah, but I was trying to focus on the positive.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Shank was good. Some jokes were really good and they landed. The internet, the design of the internet as a place, I think it's really cool. And a place called Slaughter Base, I think, is a really funny song. Zero is a really cool song. And what else? The animation is very nice.
Yes. Zangief waxing is funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I do like Gord.
We didn't talk about Gord. He's hilarious.
I never got him. I don't like
that.
him. I don't like his.
It's just really random. Like
Yeah,
little
he's
guy.
He's kind of cute.
And he's so creepy.
kinda
He
disturbing.
just like appears out of nowhere with his little arm. It's funny.
And his arm just goes on and on and on.
Yeah. He's kind of cute.
I could have done without him.
Okay,
like,
pause
we went we went through the whole movie, and I didn't mention gore once. Like that goes to show how big of an impact it has.
Okay, can I say my positives?
Yeah.
Go.
I think like the new characters are really cool, and yeah, I would have liked to see the characters from the original movie more, but I think that I really like these ones. If the story was better, it would have been even great. But I think for what we got from them, from like Knowsmore and Spamley and Shank is hot and Jess, they're cool, and I like that we have them. I just wish there was a better movie.
Yeah.
And
I just remember
the music in general.
Yeah. Henry Jackman is a genius.
My God.
No, I just wanted to share. I just remember that when the movie first came out, and I was texting with my friends back home, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we didn't really like Ralph too," and I was like so offended because at that moment I was like so in love with it, and I was like, "What do you mean you did not like Ralph too?" And I think the reason that they gave me is still not valid, and I just remembered, and I want to share with you, because basically they were on the side of Ralph. They thought that Vanellope was too harsh on him when she like lashed out at him and broke the medal, and I was like, but did you
watch the movie?
Did you know that he almost killed her and that entire fucking game because he was insecure and he wanted to manipulate her into coming back home when she didn't want to, and I still don't understand that take. To this day, I'm still like trying to wrap my head around it, but I can't. And I think it's funny that I took an 180 turn on this movie, because I really thought when I was thinking of this episode that we were gonna be praising it. I was not expecting us, like, because before I watched it again, and I was still like in my version of the movie back in 2018. And I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to love that. And now, like, I realized I don't like it, but I still don't share the same opinions as my friends who didn't like it. Like, they didn't like it for a whole different reason. And,
no, but like 2 days ago, I thought we were going to be so positive.
Yeah,
oh,
me
no.
too. Yeah, I really thought we were going to come in like, oh, yeah, it's a good sequel. It's not as good as the original, but it has a cool story. And no.
Oh God, did we like Cinderella 2 better than Wreck-It Ralph 2?
You know, I would say the only reason I would watch this over Cinderella 2 is the princesses.
I mean, and this one has Cinderella as well. So.
Like, I'm trying to imagine a version of this movie that doesn't have the princess scenes, and I'm like, I don't know if I would ever want to watch it again without the princesses in there. Oh, because we didn't talk about the last scene, but the last scene is really cool because Ralph is falling from the sky, and I think Rapunzel goes, "Oh, a strong man is falling from the sky and he needs to be saved," and they just rush and they all gather their own things and they use every single one of like their special powers and abilities to save Ralph.
But that score
and the score is amazing.
All of the movies.
I want that played at my wedding and my funeral and everywhere.
Noted.
Yeah. It's so cool. Like a great homage to the princesses movies. And it ends with Naveen kissing Ralph. And Naveen is still a frog, which is weird.
I know. I didn't want to think too hard about it, but I was like, what does this mean? Can they transform at will? Like, what's going on here?
And he's dressed in like Snow White's dress, and he wakes up, and he's like, "What happened?" And we all saved you, blah blah. And Moana goes, "You're welcome." And I really like that. That nod at Moana. And yeah, but yeah, back to the critics, the criticism. I don't know if I would like this movie. Like, I would still like this movie if the princesses weren't in it. And that's hard to admit, I guess. I would have to think more about it, but I do feel like, off the top of my head, if the princesses weren't in this movie, I probably would be like, yeah, I don't need to watch this movie ever again. And that seems so harsh. I feel
Especially
bad.
because I have like a deep connection.
Yeah, because like, it still is like the most fun I've ever had in a movie theater.
Me
But
too.
it was. I realize now it wasn't much the movie, but it was like our mood, and it was us being there. You know, we would have enjoyed, I don't know, Enchanted Christmas because we were there together. You know, maybe. I feel kind of sad because I really wanted to be positive about this movie, but it's
Can
really
we record
hard.
Frozen 2 tomorrow? Because I need like a pickup.
I don't think I can, but
No.
we can do that soon.
We have like 35 people that need to join us. There's no way
You're right.
we can call all of them.
We're going to get them installments of 5 minutes each. So
We're gonna assign each of them like 2 scenes of the movie, and like, okay, you're gonna give your comments on this like scene.
Wait, are you being serious? I can't tell because that actually
No.
sounds kind of cool. I
and
was
Tammy's like, oh yeah, that makes
I was
perfect
like, that would be
sense.
really efficient. Yeah, actually.
Okay.
No, I don't think that would work. I don't know. But anyway,
We'll
so
figure it
I
out.
just wanted to say I really feel bad for trashing on this movie. I think it doesn't deserve to be trashed, but because I still think it's pretty innocent. It's trying to say something that's
Trying
pretty.
its best.
It's trying its best. Is it? I don't know. But it's a very innocent movie. Like, it's not trying to do any harm. It's just trying to send a message. It's not done well, but it's trying to be positive, and it's trying to put something positive in the world, and I appreciate that. But still, like, when you are compared to one of the best written movies in Disney history, it's very hard not to be harsh on you. Like, if this wasn't a sequel, if this was a complete, like, a standalone movie, would your opinion change on it?
Yeah. No, I mean, no, I misunderstood the question. No, I would have the same opinion probably
Yeah.
because I'm just so stuck on the insecurity message. You know, it's just that was not done well, just in general.
Yeah.
At least it was better than the Emoji Movie.
I did not watch
that I
the
didn't watch.
Andy.
I guess.
Is
But
that a
that's a
standard we
very
wanna
low
set, though?
bar.
Is that a standard we want to
Yeah.
set though? I think that's also why, like, when I first watched it, I was like, this is really great because I was comparing it to the Emoji Movie and I was like, don't be like that, don't be like that, don't be like that. And it wasn't, but
Yeah, well, I guess that's a good thing to say about that movie. It was better than the Emoji Movie. They
Is that your
handled the
rating?
internet. Not yet. They handled the internet thing better than the Emoji Movie. I didn't watch the Emoji Movie, but I did watch
no,
a
me
bunch
neither.
of
Yeah.
Me too.
videos on YouTube on it, and I do think that this is a more creative take on the internet thing, but still not good enough, especially because if you compare it to the Emoji Movie, it's good. If you compare it to Wreck-It Ralph, it's not that good. You need to
Say the
pick
B
which
word.
one you're trying to.
perspective.
The what? Yeah. The B word, you said? It's bad?
Yeah.
That's harsh.
This
but
movie's
okay.
a bitch. Okay, no.
Okay, so do you have anything else to add to this?
No.
Okay, so is it an upgrade or a downgrade? Tammy.
It's a downgrade. I'm sorry. That's just in general. Like I feel like okay. I'm going to try to defend it for a bit. I feel like in terms of like concept, it could have been an upgrade. In terms of concept, in terms of
Yes,
execution, it's a downgrade.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's where I stand.
Andy?
Oh, don't make me say it. Don't do that.
You can-
It's a downgrade. But I like it.
I mean, Wreck-It Ralph is just too good. How can you upgrade from Wreck-It Ralph? How can you?
Exactly.
How can you?
Yeah, that is like an impossible task.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like not a fair question, but we need to be, every single movie needs to go through this test. So I do think it's a downgrade because I think it treats its characters poorly more than anything. And not only Ralph and Vanellope, but Felix and Calhoun as well, which are the main 4 characters. And I really wish the movie was more about the 4 of them, and that they found a way to keep Ralph true to himself, and like still give him this arc of not being codependent, but in a more smart, less I don't know, because the movie kind of makes you not like Ralph, and that's bad.
Exactly.
So I think they could have found a better way to do that. So yeah, it's a downgrade. So do you guys have your ratings?
I do.
Tim.
Okay. Wreck-It Ralph and the internet had a baby, and it is ugly.
Oh, good one.
Let me stand
Like
up for you,
that.
madam. That was great.
Thank
Good
you.
reference.
Thank
Ugly.
you.
That's a great joke in the first movie. That's a great one.
It is. Calhoun has the best lines. I wrote them all down.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay, is it my turn?
Yeah. Andy?
Okay, so this movie left me with 0 lives. Because it's a video game.
Oh no.
No, it left me with 1. Like,
Okay,
I live.
there you go.
I live.
I live.
Okay. So for me, I think not even Felix could fix this movie.
Oh, no, that's good, but sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I miss Felix. I hope they
I
one
miss
day.
Calhoun.
I hope they one day make a TV show or a short, because I do think that he's a great character and I love him and I want to see more of him. Please. And that's it. In that note, with my love for Felix, I think that's it for today. That was a way harsher episode and way longer than I thought it was gonna be. Yeah.
This is almost 3 hours long.
This is
Oh,
almost
wow.
3. Can you imagine the Frozen episode?
Oh,
Oh
God.
my god. That's
Ah,
terrifying.
It is. I guess we'll find out. We only have one more movie to review, guys. How do you feel about that?
I can't believe we're here. I can't believe
I
we're here.
can't
It's been
believe
so
either.
long. Oh my god, it's been such a journey. It's been
Yes.
It's been 30 movies.
oh my god.
We made it. We're finally here. We just have one more, and I know that it's not gonna be Ralph Breaks the Internet where we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna be so positive about it, and then we're gonna shit on it. I'm fairly confident that's not the case.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Me
I
too.
can't
I can't
wait
wait.
to watch these 2 back to back. I cannot wait.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of want to watch Wreck-It Ralph.
I want to watch it too. Thank you. Okay, maybe I will do that.
To kind of cleanse myself.
Cleanse your mouth. Cleanse yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry for being so harsh on it again. But okay, so thank you guys for listening. Remember that you can get in contact with us at 2division podcast@gmail.com and on Twitter at 2divisionpod. Send us your reviews, your comments, questions, whatever it is you want to send our way. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode, which is Frozen 2. Finally, the last one.
Yay.
We made it. Yay. Kinda sad it's over. Kinda sad it's about to be over, but really excited to touch on Frozen.
It's gonna end on a bang. 6 hours.
The
I'm
biggest
kidding.
no.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay, see you guys. Bye.
Bye.